Chapter 1159. The Peerless Demon Lord, who was patrolling the Undying Realm, noticed that the Undying Realm had been destroyed. He hurried over and roared, "Who are you? How dare you destroy the Undying Realm's world crystal wall? What's the big deal about the Undying Realm? In this universe, the 3 realms and 6 paths are the most respected. The Undying Realm is nothing." The young cultivator said nonchalantly, "The 3 realms and 6 paths are legends. Don't talk nonsense here." The Peerless Demon Lord sneered. The young man raised his eyelids and said, "To you, it's a legend, but to me, it's my backyard. What shameless boasting. Today, I will suppress you." The Peerless Demon Lord sneered. As one of the 72 great emperors of the Undying Realm, he had lived for countless years. His cultivation could be described as exceedingly high. He was only dealing with a young man. The Peerless Demon Lord was confident that he could do it. Slap. The young man attacked. His move was very simple. He slapped out again and sent the Peerless Demon Lord flying thousands of meters away. Bang! The Peerless Demon Lord crashed into a mountain and collapsed it. The immemorial dragon-esque elephant walked in through the hole. When he saw this scene, he was almost scared to death. That was an unparalleled great emperor. He was actually sent flying just like that. How strong was that guy? Some of the cultivators who came with the Peerless Demon Lord were already scared out of their wits. When had they ever seen such a ferocious existence? Now that they saw it, they were scared out of their wits. They all trembled in fear and knelt on the ground, their faces pale. "Ah!" The Peerless Demon Lord roared and rushed out of the ruins with his emperor weapon. "I will kill you." The Peerless Demon Lord roared and activated his emperor weapon. The emperor weapon's power was simply world-destroying. The Peerless Demon Lord combined with his emperor weapon could unleash the strongest power of the emperor weapon. Slap. The young man slapped the Peerless Demon Lord again and sent him flying with his emperor weapon. There was a thump. Smoke and dust flew everywhere. The Peerless Demon Lord fell to the ground. At this moment, the Peerless Demon Lord's heart. How could there be such a terrifying person in this world? He was so young. How did he manage to cultivate such a powerful divine ability? He was a great emperor. With an emperor weapon, he couldn't even take one move. What was his cultivation? The Peerless Demon Lord did not even have the courage to attack. The high and mighty great emperor who looked down on the myriad worlds. But now, he felt how insignificant he was. It was as if he was an ant facing a giant dragon. The Peerless Fey Lord had never felt so powerless before. He thought he was dead. However, to the Peerless Demon Lord's surprise, the young man did not seem to have any intention of killing him. It seemed to disdain him. This made the Peerless Demon Lord feel bitter. The arch was high and mighty, but in front of that young man, great emperors weren't even qualified to be killed by him. This was a huge blow to the Peerless Demon Lord. The young man asked, "What treasures are there in the Undying World?" "Peach trees, sky-reaching trees, ginseng fruits." The Peerless Demon Lord didn't dare hide anything. The young man walked away. The immemorial dragon-esque elephant followed, and they soon disappeared. Next, the Undying World, which had been peaceful for a long time, was shaken. Western Mother's territory. "I want these peach trees," the young man said. "Impudent. Take him down." The Queen Mother was furious. Whoosh! The young man blew out a breath of air, blowing everyone into the sky. "Old witch, if you dare to stop me again, I'll flip your palace over." The Queen Mother was so angry that her face turned ashen, but she estimated her own strength. She wasn't confident she could defeat the young man. She hurried to the heavenly court to ask the celestial emperor for help. The young man ransacked the peach garden and uprooted the peach trees. When he left, he was surrounded by the celestial emperor and many other experts. "You little kittens and puppies dare to stop me?" The young man sent everyone flying with a single palm strike. "That's impossible." The celestial emperor and the others couldn't believe it. They were the strongest in the Undying World. How could they be sent flying with a single slap? But all of this was real. "What treasures are there? Hand them over, and I'll spare your life." The young man looked at the celestial emperor, The Fusang tree. The celestial emperor gritted his teeth, but he didn't dare to resist unless he didn't want to live. In the end, the celestial emperor handed over the Fusang tree. This was the resting place of the golden crow, and it was a water-type divine tree. After the creation of the world, it was the first divine tree to be born. The young man ransacked the undying world and left with the immemorial dragonesque elephant. The undying world was penetrated, and powerful cultivators entered it one after another. Some of them even broke through to the great emperor realm. The undying realm was no longer an unreachable and inaccessible realm. Of course, it was not an easy task to enter the undying realm. The starfields around the undying world were extremely dangerous. The slightest carelessness could lead to death. Moreover, the entrance of the undying world was heavily guarded, and there were many strong cultivators. Even if one could pass through the starfields and reach the entrance of the undying world, many people were also killed by the strong cultivators of the undying world. Only a small number of abnormally powerful cultivators entered the undying world. Time passed. This heaven-defying race finally met with a calamity. Between heaven and earth, such a race was definitely not allowed to exist. Endless black fog surged over. It surrounded the land of this race. In fact, this race had always been very few in number. From before the creation of the world to the ancient times, such a long time had passed. Only a dozen people had appeared in total. When this calamity descended, several members of this clan were engaged in a great battle with an unknown existence. Your race is out of control, so you should be wiped out. A cold voice came from the endless black fog. This battle caused heaven and earth to collapse, and the sun and moon lost their light. In the end, a rain of blood fell from the sky, and from then on, the sovereign race disappeared from the world. All the scenes came to an abrupt end. Lin Feng's mood couldn't calm down for a long time. This race, too powerful. However, this race was destroyed in the end. What was it that destroyed this race? Something unbelievable must have happened in the past, but these were destined to become secrets buried by time. Lin Feng was silent. His heart ached, and he was angry. But more than that, he felt powerless. It turned out that even the powerful ancestors of the sovereign race couldn't control fate. Fate. But soon, Lin Feng's heart surged with endless fighting spirit. If he didn't even have the fighting spirit, his life would be over, and it would be difficult for him to achieve great things. Even though he knew that in front of him was a bottomless abyss and a towering mountain, Lin Feng also rushed forward without hesitation. It was a bottomless abyss. He crossed the abyss. It was a towering mountain. He crossed the mountain. This was Lin Feng's character. He would never give up, and he would never retreat. Life will not rest, pass on, not broken, will go against time and return. Faintly, Lin Feng heard that ethereal voice again. As the voice fell, within his dantian, a drop of golden blood condensed and formed. Rumble. When the drop of golden blood formed in Lin Feng's body, lightning suddenly filled the sky above the island. A bolt of lightning as thick as a mountain fell from the sky, striking directly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's body had formed the sovereign's blood. The heavenly Tao had formed a lightning tribulation to destroy Lin Feng. Even the heavenly Tao wouldn't allow such a heaven-defying character to be born. Chapter 1160. Bang! The real lightning tribulation had yet to descend, but the entire island had already been shattered by the terrifying pressure. It was hard to imagine how terrifying the lightning tribulation's power would be. Lin Feng went against the heavens, stepped on the void, and threw a punch at the mountain-like lightning tribulation. His fist was surrounded by the power of disaster. This was the art of great disaster. I am the embodiment of disaster. The lightning tribulation of the world can't hurt me. Low voices could be heard one after another. The lightning tribulation belonged to the power of disaster. As long as it was the power of disaster, it would be restrained by Lin Feng. This was the power of the art of great disaster. Bang! Lin Feng swung his right fist and punched out. His punch collided with the mountain-like lightning tribulation. This punch, it actually shattered the lightning tribulation. Ha 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 ha! The art of great disaster is indeed a peerless technique. It can even break through the lightning tribulation. Tyrannical lightning art, absorb. Lin Feng laughed, and then used the tyrannical lightning art to absorb the power of the lightning tribulation in the void. After the tyrannical lightning art absorbed the power of the lightning tribulation, it was immediately transformed into runes. All the runes were integrated into the divine ability array formed by the tyrannical lightning art. The divine ability array formed by the tyrannical lightning art was gradually being perfected. Rumble. Above the 9 heavens, an even more powerful lightning tribulation was brewing. The heavenly Tao didn't give up, and it still wanted to kill Lin Feng. The lightning tribulation descended from the heavens, destroying the world. The lightning tribulation condensed into an army, crushing the void and rushing toward Lin Feng. The void seemed to be on the verge of collapsing under the pressure of thousands of soldiers and horses. The destructive power of the lightning tribulation this time was far greater than the previous ones. The long river of disaster, crossing the past, present, and future. Heaven and earth are not destroyed, but disaster exists forever. Heaven and earth are destroyed, but disaster wreaks havoc. In this world, the power of disaster is eternal, and it will never disappear. The existence that blasphemes the Tao of great disaster will eventually be punished by the Tao of great disaster. Lin Feng continued to move forward in the void. Suddenly, a large river surged under his feet. This was the river of great disaster. It was a river formed by the great disaster spell. When the army formed by the lightning tribulation rushed over, they were instantly drowned by the long river of disaster. The second tribulation collapsed once again. Lin Feng continued to operate the Sky Tyrant lightning art, devouring the power of the lightning tribulation. Other cultivators would be scared half to death if they encountered the lightning tribulation. Even though he could withstand the lightning tribulation, he had to be extremely careful, as if he was facing a great enemy. But Lin Feng cultivated the great disaster art and completely ignored the power of the lightning tribulation. Not only could it ignore the lightning tribulation, but it could even devour the power of the lightning tribulation. If other cultivators saw this, they would probably be scared to death. 36 consecutive lightning tribulations descended, but all of them were shattered by Lin Feng. As for the Sky Tyrant Thunder Incantation, after absorbing a large amount of Thunder Tribulation energy, it finally transformed from the Perfection stage to the Great Perfection stage. Of all the techniques that Lin Feng had practiced, this was the first technique that had evolved to the level of Great Perfection. Above the Divine Ability Grand Array formed by the Sky Tyrant Thunder art, the Phantom of the Thunder God appeared. While Lin Feng was communicating with the Thunder God, the Thunder God opened its eyes. The Thunder God opened its eyes. As it blinked, endless power of lightning intertwined. I am the Thunder God, sovereign of the Thunder Tao, master of the Tao of Thunder. The Thunder God spoke. As if it had its own will, it spoke to Lin Feng from afar. This was the effect of a Divine Ability Grand Array. When a Divine Ability Grand Array reached Grand Array, not only would the power of the Divine Ability greatly increase, but it would also give the Divine Ability spirituality. The Phantom of the Thunder God was this spirituality condensed by the Sky Tyrant Thunder art. Once the Divine Ability gained spirituality, it would be able to continuously cultivate on its own day and night. It would continuously increase the power of the Divine Ability. Lin Feng wouldn't even need to cultivate the Sky Tyrant Thunder art in the future, because the spirituality produced by the Sky Tyrant Thunder art would cultivate on its own. This would save Lin Feng a lot of time. At the same time, the Sky Tyrant Thunder art's power would continuously increase. Break. After the Sky Tyrant Thunder art reached Grand Array, Lin Feng soared into the sky. He summoned the River of Calamity and directly tore apart the Sea of Lightning in the sky. The lightning tribulation cannot harm me. The heavenly Tao cannot erase me, shouted Lin Feng furiously. He raised his fist and punched the ocean of thunder and lightning, breaking it apart. He had awakened his first drop of sovereign blood. The Sky Tyrant Lightning art had also been cultivated to the Great Circle. Lin Feng was in a very good mood. He flew outside. There was no need to continue staying in Star Sif Lake. 3 days later, Lin Feng went to a trading area. There were many people coming and going here. Many people were selling things they didn't need. However, most of them were bartering. Many cultivators were gathered next to a stall. The stall owner was selling a hurricane pearl. The hurricane pearl was very similar to the water avoidance pearl. With the water-repellent pearl, even an ordinary person could swim freely in the water without drowning. And with the hurricane pearl, no matter what kind of terrifying storm one encountered, it would be able to resolve it. It was said that even the space-time storms in the outer realms could be easily resolved. This was definitely a top-tier treasure. Many cultivators wanted it, but they couldn't afford it. What's the deal? Lin Feng asked. I want a divine artifact or an immortal medicine of immortality, the cultivator said. This person was clearly asking for an exorbitant price. The hurricane pearl was precious, but how could it compare to a divine artifact or an immortal medicine of immortality? A top-tier Dao artifact, the dragon sword. I'll trade with you. Lin Feng took out a treasured sword. He had killed many experts recently and collected dozens of Dao artifacts. There were also a few powerful top-tier Dao artifacts. However, Lin Feng had no use for them. This is a hurricane pearl, an extremely rare treasure. It should be worth at least a demigod artifact, right? The cultivator said. Lin Feng said, the hurricane pearl is rare, but it's only useful when you encounter wind-type spirit techniques or space-time storms. You definitely won't lose out on a top-tier Dao artifact. If you don't want to trade, then forget it. Lin Feng pretended to leave. Wait, just trade. The cultivator said. Lin Feng made the trade and put the hurricane pearl away. When Lin Feng returned from the star trial, he had been attacked by an astral beast and was swallowed by a space-time storm. He had almost died tragically. If he had a treasure like the hurricane pearl, he wouldn't have been so severely injured. Therefore, it was better to have a hurricane pearl on him. Moreover, with the hurricane pearl, he could suppress all wind-type spirit techniques in the future. If he fought against wind-type spirit techniques in the future, his opponent would be completely suppressed. Therefore, it was necessary to have a hurricane pearl on him. Lin Feng walked into the distance. Suddenly, he froze. In front of him was a beautiful and enchanting woman. It's her. Lin Feng was shocked. He had never thought that he would meet this woman here. Chapter 1161. This woman's figure was enchanting, and her face was extremely beautiful. She had long and slender legs, full peaks, and a small waist. Her figure was perfectly proportioned, and coupled with her enchanting face, she was truly a peerless beauty. Such a woman would be the center of attention no matter where she went. In the trading area, countless cultivators looked at this seductive woman with burning eyes. Wu Qingqing. It was actually this woman. Many things had happened between Lin Feng and Wu Qingqing. Wu Qingqing was a disciple of the Gu evil sect. The Gu evil sect was an evil sect that was good at rearing all kinds of poisonous creatures. Back then, they had explored a dangerous place in the Thunderblade's secret realm together. All of them had been swallowed by 12 strange stone doors. Lin Feng and Wu Qingqing had been swallowed by the 11th stone door at the same time. They had joined forces to kill the remnant soul of the god fiend inside the stone door. However, Wu Qingqing wanted to take the treasures for herself. She had tried to sneak an attack on Lin Feng. However, she had been captured by Lin Feng. Later on, Lin Feng had enjoyed Wu Qingqing's beautiful body. This was his usual style of doing things. Lin Feng did not kill beautiful women. Instead, he punished them in another way. Lin Feng had always thought that beautiful women were the masterpieces of the heavens. How could he kill them? That would be too much of a waste of resources. Therefore, Lin Feng preferred to have a taste of them before sparing their lives. Although it had been many years, he could not help but recall the scene when he saw Wu Qingqing again. Lin Feng quickly retracted his gaze. Wu Qingqing did not see him. Lin Feng also did not have the intention to greet her. If Wu Qingqing saw him, he was afraid that he would be in trouble. This woman would not let go of him who had taken away her chastity. Lin Feng flew into the distance. He was now planning to head to the deepest place. It was said that there were 72 heavenly pillars of blessings, which were connected to the heavens and the earth. Some people called them the supreme pillars. Cultivators who could occupy a pillar could be called the supreme heaven's pride. Many people would fight for the supreme pillars because they would receive great benefits and blessings. That night, Lin Feng was resting in the forest. Late at night, it was pitch black. Lin Feng heard rustling sounds from afar. Soon, a woman flew over. What surprised Lin Feng was that it was Wu Qingqing. Wu Qingqing looked a little flustered, as if she was trying to avoid being tracked by someone. She looked back from time to time and jumped onto a big tree. Just as she jumped onto the tree, Wu Qingqing realized that something was wrong. There was another person here, but she didn't sense this person's aura. Wu Qingqing's expression changed abruptly. She sent a palm strike at the cultivator on the tree branch, but to her horror, her attack was easily broken. Then, her body was squeezed against the tree trunk and her hands were grabbed. Wu Qingqing could even feel the waves of her breasts being tightly pressed against her opponent's chest. The feeling was so clear. This made Wu Qingqing both embarrassed and angry. She gnashed her teeth in hatred, and killing intent rose in her heart. She was about to release some of the poison on her body to deal with the cultivator who was holding her down. Suddenly, a familiar voice sounded. "After not seeing you for so many years, you're still so ruthless. You're the one who trespassed on someone's resting place, yet you want to take their life. Do all evil cultivators view human lives as worthless?" Wu Qingqing would never forget this voice. It had been branded in her mind for a long time. She thought of how Lin Feng had robbed her in the stone room. Every time she thought of that scene, Wu Qingqing wanted nothing more than to cut Lin Feng into pieces. But sometimes, Wu Qingqing realized that her killing intent towards Lin Feng seemed to have faded. As time passed, her killing intent seemed to have completely disappeared. It was replaced by an indescribable emotion. Women were sentimental by nature. For the man who had taken their first time, a woman's feelings were even more complicated. Wu Qingqing didn't expect to meet Lin Feng here. She said coldly, "Let go of me. Looks like you can tell who I am." Lin Feng said with a faint smile, "I'm not blind. Not only can I hear, but I can also see." Wu Qingqing said unhappily. Although a cultivator's vision would be greatly reduced at night, Lin Feng and Wu Qingqing were very close to each other, so it wasn't strange for her to be able to see Lin Feng's face clearly. Lin Feng let go of Wu Qingqing and said, "It's been so many years. How have you been?" Wu Qingqing said coldly, "Thanks to you. I've been working hard all these years to increase my strength. I've been hoping that one day, I'll be able to see you and cut you into pieces to repay you for the humiliation you brought me that day." Lin Feng said, "You're lying." He looked at Wu Qingqing and said, "I don't feel any killing intent from you." Lin Feng stretched out his hand and caressed Wu Qingqing's beautiful face, but Wu Qingqing moved away. "Don't touch me. Show some respect," Wu Qingqing said coldly. "Sure. Someone's coming." Lin Feng made a shushing gesture. Soon, dozens of figures rushed over from afar. They stopped not far from the tree. Wu Qingqing covered her rosy lips, not even daring to let herself breathe. She was obviously nervous and afraid. "Did you find it?" The leading cultivator said in a deep voice. "Sir, we searched everywhere but couldn't find it." One of the cultivators said, "It can't escape. It must still be in this area. Continue searching." The leading cultivator said in a deep voice, "Aren't they the people from Mount Blood Demon?" Lin Feng frowned slightly. He recognized the leader of the cultivators. When Lin Feng and a group of cultivators entered Star Lake, they saw two groups of cultivators fighting. One of the groups of cultivators was from Mount Blood Demon. After the people from Mount Blood Demon killed the cultivators they had surrounded, they chased after Lin Feng and the others. Mount Blood Demon was one of the three great demonic forces and was extremely evil. After entering the battlefield of geniuses, these people were unscrupulous and killed people to steal their treasures. Lin Feng didn't expect that the people from Mount Blood Demon would target Wu Qingqing. He guessed that Wu Qingqing might have something on her that had piqued the interest of these people from Mount Blood Devil. Otherwise, these cultivators from Mount Blood Devil would not have mobilized so many people to search for her. The cultivators from Mount Blood Demon didn't stay and quickly left. Wu Qingqing heaved a sigh of relief when she saw the cultivators from Mount Blood Demon leave. "Why are the people from Mount Blood Demon targeting you?" Lin Feng looked at Wu Qingqing and asked. Wu Qingqing snorted and said, "It's none of your business. Then, she kicked Lin Feng and dashed into the distance, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile bitterly as he watched Wu Qingqing leave. She was a spiritual array master and had now broken through to an Earth-rank advanced spiritual array master. Wu Qingqing could be considered a genius when it came to spirit array masters. She carefully studied the formation-breaking technique recorded on the sheepskin scroll. It was written that there were 12 formation eyes in the restriction. Pull out the formation flag from each of the 12 formation eyes. The restriction would be broken. However, not only were there illusory formations around the 12 formation cores, there were also killing formations. It was not easy to reach the eye of the array and pull out the array flag. The only fortunate thing was that the sheepskin scroll recorded the method to pass through the illusory formation and the killing formation. It might be difficult for ordinary people to understand these complicated methods, but as an Earth-rank advanced spiritual array master, Wu Qingqing could understand them. She followed the instructions on the sheepskin scroll and walked towards the location of the first formation eye. Wu Qingqing was very careful because one wrong step would activate the illusory formation and the ultimate killing formation. At that time, she would only have a dead end. Wu Qingqing walked back and forth for half an hour. It was only a distance of a dozen meters, but Wu Qingqing walked back and forth. She came to a blue stone and moved it away. Then, she dug out the soil below. After digging about a dozen centimeters deep, Wu Qingqing saw a palm-sized green formation flag. She quickly took it out. Only then did Wu Qingqing let out a sigh of relief. After successfully taking out the first formation flag, Wu Qingqing gained some experience and her confidence increased a lot. After resting for a while, she walked toward the second formation flag. As time went by, Wu Qingqing found the formation flags one by one and pulled them out. When all the formation flags were pulled out, a loud rumbling sound was heard. The restrictions in the surroundings began to dissipate. Not long after, a huge palace appeared in her sight. The palace was 300 meters tall and was built with gold and jade. There was a huge plaque on top of it. On top of the plaque, there were 4 large words, Heartless Palace. It should have been called the Yuqing Immortal Palace, but now it has become the Heartless Palace. The word love has caused a lot of harm. Wu Qingqing thought of some rumors about the Heartless Immortal Lady inside. The Heartless Immortal Lady's name was Yuqing. She was a goddess in the hearts of countless people. She was called a fairy. However, after her relationship was thwarted, she became heartless to men. She seemed to no longer believe in men. It could be said that it was a tragedy. Wu Qingqing couldn't help but sigh. TSK, I didn't expect junior sister Wu to sigh about the relationship between men and women. Is this still the vicious Wu Qingqing I know? A faint laugh was heard. Then, nearly 100 figures flew out of the forest. Wu Qingqing's face turned pale when she saw the densely packed cultivators. These people were the experts from Mount Blood Demon who had chased after her. Now, they had caught up with her. Wu Qingqing despaired. Her strength was nothing in front of these cultivators from Mount Blood Demon. Wu Qingqing looked at the cultivator who had just spoken with resentment. Li Chao, you were the one who betrayed us. The cultivator called Li Chao was originally from the same sect as Wu Qingqing. They had come out to train together, but he had been injured and had stayed in a cave to recuperate. Wu Qingqing didn't expect Li Chao to be a spy. Betrayed us? I was originally a disciple of Mount Blood Demon. The major forces would send their disciples to infiltrate each other's sects to steal information or divine abilities. I'm sure you know this. I'm afraid there are also evil sects disciples in Mount Blood Demon. The cultivator called Li Chao sneered. All right, don't waste your breath on her. Just kill her. The leader of the cultivators was called Lu Ju, and he sneered, Junior sister Wu Qingqing, I'm sorry. You've completed your mission. You can die now. Li Chao leaped out and instantly arrived beside Wu Qingqing. His body emitted waves of destructive energy. This person was actually at the 8th firmament of the creation realm. Wu Qingqing was only at the 9th firmament of the yin-yang realm. Compared to Li Chao, she was too weak. You were hiding your strength? Wu Qingqing's face was pale and filled with despair. Li Chao sneered and said, Yes, junior sister Wu Qingqing, you can take this secret of mine to hell with you. As soon as he finished speaking, his palm had already struck down. Wu Qingqing was shocked to find that she couldn't move at all. Although her cultivation was considered an expert, she was still too weak compared to Li Chao. Just when Wu Qingqing thought that she was going to die, she suddenly saw the space in front of her tremble. A man with shoulder-length black hair stepped out of the void. He lightly pointed at Li Chao. A golden finger of energy condensed into a golden finger. Pooh! The golden energy finger instantly pierced through Li Chao's head. Li Chao's body flew out and fell to the ground. He was already dead. A new week, looking for monthly votes. Recommendation votes. Reward me. Old man to thanks. Oh. Clearly, Lin Feng's battle strength was not as simple as initial level life and death realm. He was able to shatter the attacks of 20 experts with a single punch. His cultivation base should be at the middle level of life and death realm at the very least. This was too shocking. Could it be that Lin Feng had already reached the supreme genius level? After entering the prodigy arena, Wu Qingqing met up with her fellow sect members to search for the Heartless Palace. Therefore, she didn't know what had happened in the prodigy arena. Of course, even if she knew that a genius named Lin Feng had stepped on Morong Tianqian and ascended to the prodigy arena, Wu Qingqing wouldn't necessarily think that it was the Lin Feng she knew. After all, there were too many people with the same name in this world. It's my turn to attack. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He took a step forward and slashed out with Sky Splitter. A dazzling saber light condensed and instantly pierced through the void. Retreat. The cultivators from Mount Blood Demon felt the power of the saber light, and their expressions changed drastically. They hurriedly retreated, and at the same time, took out their defensive treasures to block Lin Feng's attack. However, it was useless. Lin Feng was no longer the same as before. He had awakened his sovereign bloodline. A sovereign's power had condensed in his body. His cultivation had increased by at least 10 times. Unless it was a rebirth realm powerhouse, no one could suppress Lin Feng. These cultivators couldn't even withstand a single blow from Lin Feng. Asterisk puff. Asterisk first. The treasures were torn apart by the saber light as if they were tofu. Then, the experts from Mount Blood Demon were instantly killed by the saber light. They couldn't resist Lin Feng's attack at all. Lu Qi was furious when he saw more than 20 experts from Mount Blood Demon being killed. He coldly shouted, "Attack together and kill him." There were still 60 to 70 experts on Mount Blood Demon's side. Lu Qi's battle strength was equivalent to the 9th or even 10th stage of the life and death realm. Besides Lu Qi, there were 2 other experts on Mount Blood Demon's side. One of them was called Nangong Di, and the other was called Nalan Mu. Both of them were at the 2nd stage of the life and death realm. However, they had amazing talent, so their battle strength was roughly equivalent to that of an ordinary cultivator at the 7th stage of the life and death realm. They were also people who could challenge people of a higher realm. Lu Qi, Nangong Di, and Nalan Mu were the main attackers, while the others cooperated with them to attack Lin Feng. Lin Feng, Lu Qi, Nangong Di, and Nalan Mu are too strong. Don't fight them head-on. Let's run. Wu Qingqing said with a pale face. She was a disciple of an evil faction, so she had a good understanding of the cultivators from Mount Blood Demon. It was because of this understanding that she knew how terrifying they were. In Wu Qingqing's opinion, Lin Feng was strong enough to become a supreme genius at such a young age. However, even a supreme genius would have to avoid Lu Qi, Nangong Di, and Nalan Mu. Back then, the 3 of them were almost as talented as the supreme prodigies. Furthermore, all 3 of them were cultivators who had cultivated for more than 100 years. Lin Feng was only 26 years old this year. Even if he started cultivating at the age of 6, he had only cultivated for 20 years. Sometimes, a large age gap was a disadvantage. Therefore, in Wu Qingqing's opinion, even supreme geniuses would be at a disadvantage when facing Lu Qi, Nangong Di, and Nalan Mu. Moreover, there were 60 to 70 experts supporting them. It's fine. I can kill these people with a wave of my hand. Lin Feng looked indifferent. If he hadn't awakened his sovereign bloodline, Lin Feng would have to avoid facing so many experts. However, Lin Feng was no longer the same as before. He didn't care about these people at all. Shameless boasting. Go to hell. Lu Qi and the others sneered. The 3 of them attacked first. demonic blood palm, a sea of blood. Demons wreaked havoc. The three experts gathered their powerful divine abilities and attacked. Next, the other 60 to 70 people also gathered their divine abilities and attacked Linfeng. So many experts attacked at the same time. They gathered together. Even the void was torn apart. From this, it could be seen just how terrifyingly powerful this attack was. Wu Qingqing, who was standing in the distance, was shocked when she sensed the divine abilities gathered together. She felt like her soul was trembling. However, Lin Feng couldn't believe it. She saw Lin Feng's hands forming a seal. Divine light surrounded him. Lu Qi and the other 60 to 70 experts attacked together, but they were instantly sealed. Their attacks turned into a ball of energy that floated above Lin Feng's right hand. The void around the ball of energy started to distort. Everybody was looking at Lin Feng in astonishment. Lin Feng's eyes were filled with astonishment. Everybody was looking at him. Was he still human? In the blink of an eye, he had sealed the attacks of 60 to 70 experts. Chapter 1164. The ball of energy spun in Lin Feng's palm. All the cultivators of Mount Blood Demon retreated step by step, their faces full of fear. They were scared out of their wits by Lin Feng. How powerful was the attack of so many people? However, it was sealed by Lin Feng so easily. It was too unbelievable. When Wu Qingqing looked at Lin Feng, her beautiful eyes were full of splendor. Lin Feng's strength was not only beyond her expectations, but also made her heart beat faster. As time passed, Wu Qingqing had developed a complicated feeling for Lin Feng. After all, Lin Feng was Wu Qingqing's first and only man. Even though Wu Qingqing didn't want to think about what she had done with Lin Feng in the stone room, many nights when she was alone, she couldn't help but think about it. At first, she hated Lin Feng, but later on, she couldn't help but think about it. In fact, whether it was a man or a woman, there was a law. If she still maintained her virginity, then she would be a virgin. Therefore, their tolerance towards the matters between men and women was relatively high. If they tasted the forbidden fruit, then their tolerance towards the matters between men and women would be greatly reduced. Their tolerance would decrease. In his mind, he would often let his imagination run wild. This was a very normal thing. Perhaps it was because of these wanderings that Wu Qingqing had developed a complicated feeling for Lin Feng. Now that she saw how powerful Lin Feng was, there seemed to be some joy in these complicated feelings. Subconsciously, Wu Qingqing seemed to think that since she had done that with Lin Feng, then she might have a deeper relationship with Lin Feng in the future. Seeing how powerful Lin Feng was, Wu Qingqing was naturally happy. Run! Lu Qi shouted in a deep voice. No matter how arrogant Lu Qi was, he now knew that Lin Feng wasn't someone they could provoke. How could he still have the courage to continue fighting with Lin Feng? The group turned around and was about to escape. At this moment, Lin Feng threw out the sealed torrent of attacks. Bang! The torrent of attacks landed in the crowd and exploded. Following that, miserable screams rang out incessantly. One cultivator after another was faked to death. Ordinary cultivators were naturally unable to withstand the powerful destructive force produced by the torrent of attacks. The casualties could be said to be extremely heavy. Of the 60 to 70 people, only 20 or so managed to survive, but all of them were injured. 9 steps of death. Lin Feng stepped forward in the void, and waves of death ripples swept out. Puff, puff. The bodies of the Mount Blood Devil cultivators exploded one after another. In the blink of an eye, only Lu Qi, Nangong Di, and Nalan Mu were left. Do you really want to kill them all? If you kill us, you'll become an enemy of Mount Blood Demon. Mount Blood Demon won't let you off. Nangong Di's face was pale as he shouted threateningly. Lin Feng raised his eyelids and said, "Isn't it already an irreconcilable hatred?" Nangong Di said, "Of course not. The people you killed just now can't be considered core cultivators of Mount Blood Demon. The 3 of us are core cultivators of Mount Blood Demon. If you let us go, there's still a chance for things to turn around. With your cultivation, you can indeed become core cultivators of Mount Blood Demon." Lin Feng nodded. Nangong Di couldn't help but look happy as he said, "It seems like you're very sensible. Don't worry, after the 3 of us leave, we won't be enemies with you in the future." Nangong Di had a smile on his face, as if he really wanted to bury the hatchet with Lin Feng. In reality, Nangong Di wanted nothing more than to cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces. He sneered in his heart, and his killing intent was dense. Brat, when we get out of here, we'll immediately find a few peerless experts of Mount Blood Demon to surround and kill you. When the time comes, you'll die without a grave. Lu Qi and Nalan Mu had the same thoughts as Nangong Di, but they were trying their best to restrain their killing intent. Mount Blood Demon. A demon called the Blood Abyss Old Demon massacred 1.2 billion innocent people and devoured their souls for the sake of cultivating his demonic arts. There's also a demon called the Dark Blood Demon who sacrificed all the people in 12 cities for the sake of cultivating his demonic arts. The number of people killed reached 700 million. There are too many examples like this. You cultivators of Mount Blood Demon willfully slaughter the innocent. None of you are good people. So, do you think I'll believe your nonsense? Lin Feng sneered. Swish. A dazzling saber light flashed. He used Sky Split and slashed at Nangong Di. You dare kill me? Nangong Di roared as he dodged Lin Feng's attack. Why wouldn't I dare? Lin Feng's expression was cold. The blade light from Sky Split had already descended. Nangong Di saw that he couldn't dodge, so he hurriedly used a divine ability to block. As he condensed a divine ability, he shouted, Senior Brother Lu Qi, Junior Brother Nalan Mu, give me a hand. However, Lu Qi and Nalan Mu didn't care about Nangong Di's life or death. Most demonic cultivators were selfish. Their relationship with each other was very thin. The two of them fled into the distance. A moment later, Nangong Di was killed. You can't escape. Lin Feng's expression was cold as he chased after Lu Qi and Nalan Mu. It was too difficult for them to compete with Lin Feng. They saw Lin Feng chasing after them. Lu Qi and Nalan Mu's expressions turned ugly. Lu Qi's eyes turned slightly, and he pointed to the right. He exclaimed, Junior Brother Nalan, look, it's our sect's senior brother Tai Wuxia. Cultivators determine seniority based on their cultivation level. Tai Wuxia was a supreme genius of Mount Blood Demon. Although he was young, his cultivation level was heaven-defying. Hearing Lu Qi's words, Nalan Mu's face lit up. If Tai Wuxia was here, they could definitely kill Lin Feng if they worked together. Nalan Mu turned his head, but the direction Lu Qi had pointed to was empty. Where was Tai Wuxia? Oh no! Nalan Mu wasn't stupid. After realizing that he had been tricked by Lu Qi, he knew that he was in trouble. He wanted to quickly move to the left, but it was too late. Lu Qi's palm landed on Nalan Mu's head. With a bang, Nalan Mu's head exploded, and he died on the spot. Lu Qi wrapped Nalan Mu's body with his magic power and flew towards Lin Feng. Nalan Mu's body began to expand. Lu Qi was obviously going to self-destruct. Nalan Mu was a life and death realm cultivator. If he self-destructed, the damage would be too terrifying. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly, and he quickly retreated. Bang! In the next moment, Nalan Mu's body self-destructed. The terrifying energy swept through the world, and the forest within a dozen miles was completely destroyed. Chapter 1165. The energy dissipated. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Lu Qi had disappeared without a trace. Clearly, he had taken advantage of the opportunity to escape. That person was truly ruthless. He had even killed his own junior brother so that he could escape. Lin Feng went to Wu Qingqing's side and asked in concern, Are you all right? Wu Qingqing replied, I'm fine. She then looked at Lin Feng with a complicated expression. That's good. Lin Feng nodded. After a pause, he said, Let's go to the palace and take a look. Wu Qingqing did not say anything. She lowered her head and walked into the palace. Lin Feng followed behind her. Suddenly, Wu Qingqing asked, Why are you here? Lin Feng said unhappily, Why else? I'm worried about your safety, of course, so I followed you here. If I didn't come, wouldn't you have died? Wu Qingqing's heart was filled with sweetness, but she maintained a cold expression on her face. She snorted and said, Who cares about your concern? Lin Feng said, It's your business if you don't care. As for what I do, that's my business as well. Humph. Wu Qingqing snorted twice before turning around and continuing to walk into the palace. Her footsteps seemed much lighter than before. The two of them arrived at the entrance of Heartless Palace. Lin Feng pushed open the huge golden door a little, and the two of them entered. Many things were neatly arranged in the palace. Even though countless years had passed, everything still looked as good as new. This was because the palace was covered in cleansing runes, which allowed the palace to remain clean and tidy. The decorations in the first palace were relatively simple. It looked more like a training ground. There was a statue of a woman in the center. The woman was tall and had a beautiful face. She had an indescribable charm about her. She could be considered a peerless beauty. Is this the Heartless Immortal? Lin Feng rubbed his chin and asked. Wu Qingqing nodded and said, yes, it's a statue of the Heartless Immortal. However, look at the expression on the statue's face. It's filled with love. Back then, the Heartless Immortal was still called Fairy Yuqing. Lin Feng nodded. The Heartless Immortal had changed her name because she had been seriously hurt by love. Hey look, the Heartless Immortal is holding a scroll. Lin Feng was shocked. He took the scroll off the statue. He opened it. The scroll shone brightly with golden light, and within the golden light, some images appeared. A handsome man with black hair that reached his shoulders and eyes that were like stars stood in front of a study table. A beautiful woman in snow-white clothes was grinding for him. Calm. Jade incense burner incense, red candles, thin eyebrows, hazy temples, long nights, cold pillows. Under the parasol tree, it rained in the middle of the night. No one knew that Li Qing was suffering. Leaf. Qing, I'm going on a long journey. I wrote this poem for you. The man in white clothes said gently. Fairy Yuqing looked at the poem and murmured, my heart is broken when I don't see you for a day. I'll come back as soon as possible. The white-robed man held Fairy Yuqing's hand gently. All the images disappeared. A poem appeared on the scroll. It was the poem that the man in white clothes had written. This man is as handsome as Jade. He's really born with a good appearance. Lin Feng sighed. No wonder Fairy Yuqing can't get over it. It seems that she loves that man a lot. There are no good men in the world. Before they have a woman, they'll say sweet things to her. They're afraid that she'll fall or melt. But once they have a woman, they'll throw her away like a pair of worn-out shoes. Even though that man looks good, he has a human face and a beast's heart. Wu Qingqing didn't know where all her anger came from. She sneered at Lin Feng, as if Lin Feng was the one who broke her heart. She walked towards the palace with her long, straight legs that could cause one's imagination to run wild. There was a spiritual array room, alchemy room, and the magical ability pavilion. What made Lin Feng depressed was that there weren't any divine pills left in the alchemy room. Perhaps the refined pills were all carried by the heartless celestial maiden? There were many spiritual array scrolls in the spiritual array room. Lin Feng organized them and took half each with Wu Qingqing. There were dozens of scrolls of various abilities in the magical ability pavilion. The most valuable ones were the 6 immemorial abilities. They were the Divine Finger, the Burning Sky Technique, the Buddha's Fury Thousand Wave Cut, the Revolving Stars Technique, the Galaxy Destruction Fist, and the Raging Wave Sword Technique. The value of any one of the immemorial abilities was unimaginable, let alone 6 of them. What made Lin Feng the happiest was that among the 6 skills, there was a sword skill called the Raging Wave Sword Technique. This was the first immemorial sword-type immemorial ability that Lin Feng had obtained. Lin Feng made a copy of each of the 6 immemorial abilities and gave it to Wu Qingqing. The two continued to walk deeper into the palace. They arrived at the deepest part of the palace. The door to the palace was closed. Lin Feng tried to open it, but he couldn't. Could it be that the Heartless Fairy passed away here? Lin Feng muttered. He and Wu Qingqing worked together to open the door. The two entered and saw a dressing table, a jade bed, a desk, a bookshelf, and many other things. However, they didn't see the Heartless Fairy's corpse. However, if a cultivator passed away, they would turn into ashes and not leave behind a corpse. Since the Heartless Fairy had suffered a Dao injury, she must have died. Lin Feng checked the books on the desk and bookshelf, but he didn't find anything particularly precious. Chapter 1166. It was currently night, and the forest was pitch black. The roars of beasts could be heard from time to time. The depths of the forest were extremely dangerous at night, as there were many powerful beasts roaming about. Lin Feng and Wu Qingqing found a dry cave, and Lin Feng started a bonfire. The cave was illuminated and warmed up. "Does your Gu evil sect have anything to do with this Mount Blood Demon?" Lin Feng asked. He suddenly remembered that the Gu evil sect was both righteous and evil, and Wu Qingqing was definitely a ruthless woman. "Both the demonic and evil sects are related," said Wu Qingqing. She then frowned and continued, "However, the Gu evil sect and Mount Blood Demon shouldn't be too close. Our Gu evil sect is closer to the sacred Devil Hall." Lin Feng nodded and said, "In the future, we have to be careful of the people from Mount Blood Demon." Wu Qingqing was silent for a moment, then nodded. The bonfire illuminated Wu Qingqing's beautiful face, making it slightly red. Being alone with Wu Qingqing made Lin Feng's heart flutter. He couldn't help but put his right hand on Wu Qingqing's waist. Wu Qingqing's expression changed, and she snorted coldly, "What are you doing? Stay away from me and show some respect. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Wu Qingqing's eyes widened as soon as she finished speaking. She hadn't expected Lin Feng to be so bold. Wu Qingqing wanted to break free. However, her body was still in Lin Feng's embrace. She didn't manage to break free at first, and her body softened. In the end, she actually started to respond slowly. "Jiangnan Nong, Wu Mountain and Chumeng, Xingyu and Xingyun sent me off." In the spring of Yao Xin's Golden Valley, Jade Child Fairy was nowhere to be seen. Purple smoke was indistinct, clear wind and bright moon longed for each other. Longing for each other, the grass was green, for the song of the phoenix flying together. This poem described the beauty and shame of a man and a woman going into the river of love together. It was just like what Wu Qingqing had experienced. Wu Qingqing's feelings for Lin Feng were very complicated. After meeting Lin Feng again, Lin Feng's expression changed. Complicated feelings, a lot of surprise, and a lot of shyness. However, as a woman, Wu Qingqing naturally would not express these feelings. Lin Feng was so overbearing that Wu Qingqing submitted to Lin Feng after resisting for a while. A woman's feelings were very complicated. After a round of lovemaking, Wu Qingqing curled up in Lin Feng's arms like a lazy kitten. There was a satisfied expression on her beautiful face. In the middle of the night, Lin Feng suddenly had a dream. This was a pitch-black world. In the dream, he walked along a small path, aimlessly walking in this pitch-black world. After an unknown amount of time, he saw a cultivator with snow-white robes and a black cape. Lin Feng felt that this figure was somewhat familiar. He wanted to chase after the cultivator to take a look, but the cultivator had already disappeared without a trace. As he went deeper and deeper, Lin Feng suddenly felt that this world was getting colder and colder. The people of this world are ultimately unable to escape the shackles of fate. They are unable to escape the curse of fate. Suddenly, a voice sounded. It was so sudden. "Who is it?" Lin Feng shouted loudly. However, no one answered him. Rumble. After an unknown amount of time, Lin Feng suddenly heard a series of earth-shaking sounds. Then, in the distance, Yin Qi soared into the sky. Yin soldiers passing through. Living beings retreating. Lin Feng was astonished. He had just seen a terrifying scene. Yin soldiers. Legend had it that they were an army that rushed out of hell. Wherever the Yin soldiers passed, death would follow. That was why there was a saying that living beings retreated when Yin soldiers passed through. The Yin soldiers rushed over from afar. Yin Qi soared into the sky, and ghost fog covered the sky. Wherever the Yin soldiers passed, all the flowers and trees withered and died. Lin Feng quickly chased after them. In the end, he saw the Yin soldiers catch up to the man. "Chu Mashio, follow us." An undead soldier stepped forward. When he heard the name, Lin Feng's body trembled. Chu Mashio. Wasn't he the 36th Celestial Master of the Celestial Master lineage? There were a total of 36 Celestial Masters in the Celestial Master lineage. These 36 Celestial Masters were branded by the stone scripture. Lin Feng clearly remembered the name Chu Mashio. He should be a Celestial Master from the end of the ancient era. Fate. Chu Mashio muttered. He turned around. Lin Feng saw him. Lin Feng was shocked and in disbelief. This man was actually the one who abandoned Fairy Yuqing. Lin Feng immediately felt that something was amiss. Wu Qingqing said that Fairy Yuqing was from the ancient era. That didn't match Chu Maxiu's era at all. However, Lin Feng immediately remembered that the ancient era was hundreds of thousands of years ago. It was normal for the records to be wrong. After all, she was someone from hundreds of thousands of years ago. It wasn't a big deal that the year was wrong. Chu Maxiu stretched out his right hand, and a paper crane flew out. Chu Maxiu left with the Yin soldier. The 36th celestial master was taken away by the Yin soldier. Lin Feng muttered. He was very shocked. The Yin soldier was about to enter hell. Why was Chu Maxiu taken away by the Yin soldier? The Yin soldier took Chu Maxiu and disappeared without a trace. The paper crane flew to a place called the Lunar Pure Immortal Palace. The Lunar Pure Immortal Palace is indeed Fairy Yuqing's palace. She was also a strong cultivator from the ancient era, and Chu Maxiu, the 36th celestial master, was her lover. Lin Feng muttered. The paper crane burned, and a celestial palace appeared. Yuqing, our mortal fate is over. Forget about me. Chu Maxiu said. Maxiu, come here quickly. A beautiful woman called out gently from afar. Chu Maxiu walked over and wrapped his arms around that woman's small waist. Why is it like this? Fairy Yuqing couldn't believe it. She took out the poem Chu Maxiu had written that day. Jade incense burner, red candle tears, leaning towards the painting hall autumn thoughts. Thin eyebrows, hazy temples, long nights, cold pillows, parasol tree, the rain in the third night, not knowing the pain of separation, leaf after leaf, sound after sound, empty steps dripped to the light. Fairy Yuqing repeated the poem over and over again. Tears fell. She tried hard to wipe away her tears, but she couldn't wipe them away. She couldn't stop her tears from flowing. Later, the Lunar Pure Immortal Palace. It changed its name to the Heartless Palace. Fairy Yuqing changed her name to the Heartless Immortal. Another 200 years passed. Fairy Yuqing went through the giant god tribulation. She couldn't forget Chu Maxiu. At the most crucial moment of the tribulation, she suffered a backlash. She was injured. She barely managed to keep her life. Maxiu, where did you go? Fairy Yuqing muttered. She wanted to see her former lover one more time before she died. But in the end, she died. She had endless regrets, but she couldn't find Chu Maxiu. Chapter 1167. Lin Feng woke up from the dream, his face full of shock and emotion. That dream was so real. It was a sleepless night for Lin Feng. The next day, Lin Feng asked Wu Qingqing about Fairy Yuqing in detail, including all the rumors about her and her era. Wu Qingqing's knowledge of Fairy Yuqing was mostly from an ancient book. The ancient book didn't record which era Fairy Yuqing lived in, but that book was said to have been passed down from the ancient era. Therefore, Wu Qingqing guessed that Fairy Yuqing was also from the ancient era. Actually, this guess was wrong. With an ancient book passed down, the most one could guess was that Fairy Yuqing was from the ancient era or before. It was hard to confirm which era she was from, but now, Lin Feng could confirm that Fairy Yuqing was from the end of the ancient era. Lin Feng thought of something he heard in the dream. People in this world can't escape the shackles of fate. They can't escape the curse of fate. What did he mean by that? What did it mean? Or did it have something to do with the celestial masters? The most important thing was that the words cursed fate made Lin Feng feel uneasy. He thought of the fire crow he met before. He was cursed to become a fire crow forever and fly alone. He could never escape the curse. He thought of the celestial masters who were cursed to never meet each other. Otherwise, they would be in big trouble. Chu Maxiu was the 36th celestial master. He must be very powerful. But even he couldn't resist the power of the curse and was taken away by the otherworldly soldiers. Could it be that the celestial masters had other curses besides the never meet each other curse? As for himself, he still didn't know what the curse was. Such a situation was highly possible. After all, the celestial masters were too powerful. Being cursed by several different curses, for generations to be cursed was a very normal thing. Clearly, The story between Chu Mashio and Fairy Yuqing was a tragedy from start to finish. It was Chu Mashio who had been taken away by the otherworldly soldiers. He knew he couldn't live, so he wanted Fairy Yuqing to forget about him instead of abandoning him. On the other hand, Fairy Yuqing was unable to extricate herself from the pain of love. He even lost his life because of this. Even at death's door, she wasn't able to see Chu Mashio one last time. With endless sorrow and regret, she died alone. When Wu Qingqing woke up and saw that Lin Feng's face was not looking too good, she asked him what had happened. Lin Feng told her what had happened in his dream. Lin Feng was surprised that Wu Qingqing's eyes had turned red. He had always thought that Wu Qingqing was a cold-hearted person. Could it be that after becoming a real woman, Wu Qingqing's character had become gentler? Women were fickle by nature, so if he thought about it carefully, it was quite possible. Before waking up in the morning, Lin Feng and Wu Qingqing had sex again. Most of the time, women's needs in this aspect were even greater than men's, especially when it came to tasting the forbidden fruit for the first time. For women who were still shy about the matters between men and women, the temptation was even greater. Wu Qingqing was like that. After the two of them woke up, Lin Feng planned to head to the Supreme Pillar. Wu Qingqing wanted to go with Lin Feng. At this time, Wu Qingqing naturally didn't want to leave Lin Feng's side. Lin Feng considered the dangerous situation at the Supreme Pillar and didn't agree to Wu Qingqing's request. Instead, he asked Wu Qingqing to cultivate in seclusion for a while before leaving the prodigy battlefield. This was because Wu Qingqing had obtained many good things. She even obtained 6 types of arcane mystiques. These opportunities were already heaven-defying. Wu Qingqing also knew that Lin Feng was doing this for her own good, so she agreed. Wu Qingqing planned to cultivate in seclusion in the cave for a few days. Lin Feng strengthened the restrictions here. Then, he parted ways with Wu Qingqing. They didn't stop along the way and flew towards the deepest part of the prodigy battlefield. After 10 days, Lin Feng finally arrived. From afar, 72 huge stone pillars towered into the sky. Those 72 stone pillars were the supreme pillars, because cultivators who could occupy the supreme pillars would receive blessings. Therefore, they were also known as the stone pillars of blessings. The supreme pillars were protected by powerful restrictions. These restrictions didn't all disappear at once. Instead, they disappeared one by one. After the restriction on the first supreme pillar disappeared, everyone could climb up the supreme pillar in the next 2 hours. Then, they could fight for the ownership of the supreme pillar. Under normal circumstances, there would be experts who would go up to defend the ring. In order to fight for the ownership of the ring, one had to defeat the expert who was defending the ring. Most of the time, there would be more than 1 or 2 geniuses defending the ring. This was because there were too many geniuses in the 3,000 prefectures. There were a total of 72 supreme pillars. Obviously, the further one went, the more difficult it would be to occupy one of the supreme pillars. Therefore, after the restriction on the first supreme pillar disappeared, many people would rush to the supreme pillar and start a fierce competition. Now, the restrictions outside the 36 supreme pillars had already disappeared. The first 35 supreme pillars had already been occupied by others. On the 36th supreme pillar, there was an extremely fierce battle going on. More than a dozen cultivators surrounded one person. But the cultivator who was being surrounded was calm and collected. Beside him, runes interweaved. Those runes condensed into a huge dragon. This technique was called the Rune Dragon. It was the top inheritance of the Earth Master. Lin Feng had seen the person who attacked before. It was the successor of the Earth Master, Zidong Lai. Roar! A loud dragon roar resounded through the world. The huge dragons roared and bared their fangs and claws, pouncing towards the cultivators who were attacking Zidong Lai. Those cultivators, all of them were sent flying by the huge dragons. Their bodies exploded in midair, and they died on the spot. Zidong Lai is indeed worthy of being a descendant of a Geomaster. He has many powerful inheritances. Defeating Zidong Lai and taking away his supreme pillar won't be an easy task, murmured Lin Feng. Many cultivators were whispering amongst themselves as they looked at Zidong with fear in their eyes. Some of the experts who had originally wanted to attack him gave up on the idea. Their chances of winning against Zidong Lai were too small. They might as well target the next supreme pillar. Zidonglai stood proudly with his hands behind his back. He coldly glanced around, his expression indifferent. Who else? He was extremely confident and looked down on everyone. I was just about to experience the inheritance of the Earth Master. Lin Feng sneered. He stepped forward and landed on the supreme pillar. Who are you? Your hands are not stained with the blood of a nobody. Zidonglai glanced sideways at Lin Feng. Chapter 1168. Someone's on the stage. Who is he? He knows how strong Zidonglai is, but he still dares to attack him. Isn't he a little too bold? Some cultivators looked at Lin Feng in confusion, trying to guess who Lin Feng was. Isn't that Lin Feng? Lin Feng stepped on the young genius's stage and trampled on Mu Rong. Some cultivators recognized Lin Feng and were shocked. What? He's Lin Feng? That supreme being genius? Many people gasped. Lin Feng. Many supreme being geniuses also noticed Lin Feng. Everyone had different expressions when they saw Lin Feng. Huang Fu Qingtian narrowed his eyes when he saw Lin Feng. His eyes flashed coldly. Di Xingtian's killing intent soared. Ning Litao's eyes were cold. Of course, there were also some geniuses who were on good terms with Lin Feng. Zhang Yudi, Bai Shangyi, Shang Tianyang, and the others all looked at Lin Feng in amazement. They already knew that Lin Feng had stepped onto the prodigy arena and that his strength had reached the level of a young supreme being. As friends of Lin Feng, they were naturally happy for Lin Feng. On the supreme pillar, Lin Feng looked at Zidonglai calmly. Zidonglai's arrogance seemed to come from his bones. Lin Feng was disgusted by Zidonglai's arrogance. What was there to be proud of? Did he really think that he was superior to others? He sneered and said, "Don't act all high and mighty. Didn't you get beaten half to death by the two corpses in the heavenly astral grotto? What a disgrace. If you don't have the strength, just stay put. If you want to take something that doesn't belong to you, you're just asking for humiliation." Zidonglai's face darkened when he heard Lin Feng's words. He knew that Lin Feng was also in the heavenly astral grotto, but he didn't pay attention to a nobody like Lin Feng. In the heavenly astral grotto, Zidonglai coughed up blood because of the pressure from the two corpses. He had always regarded this as a humiliation. Now that this matter was being brought up again and Lin Feng had reopened his wounds, he was furious. He said coldly, "Since you managed to survive in the heavenly astral grotto, you should cherish your life instead of seeking death. Since you want to die, I'll grant you your wish. I'll kill you today." After saying that, Zidonglai's to kill Lin Feng. He's a heavenly astral technique. It was called the brilliant star slash. Endless starlight condensed into a dazzling beam of light. The beam of light tore through the sky and headed straight for Lin Feng. It was as fast as lightning and arrived next to Lin Feng in the blink of an eye. So fast, many people exclaimed. In the blink of an eye, it was already in front of Lin Feng. Many cultivators were guessing whether Lin Feng would be killed or not. Everybody was astonished. The brilliant star slash was about to reach Lin Feng's body, but Lin Feng moved a dozen meters to the left and easily dodged the brilliant star slash. He dodged it. Many people were shocked. They didn't think that Lin Feng would be able to dodge Zidonglai's attack so easily. Lin Feng jumped towards Zidonglai. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt a chill coming from behind him. He looked behind him and saw that the beam of light he just dodged was flying back at him again. This time, it was even faster and more powerful than before. What's going on? Shouldn't a heavenly astral technique dissipate after it fails? Why didn't Zidonglai's brilliant star slash dissipate after it failed? Why did it become even more powerful than before? Many people were puzzled, and their hearts were filled with shock. This was the first time they'd seen such a strange situation. It's very likely that it has something to do with Zidonglai's identity as the Earth Master's successor. Everyone should know that the Earth Master's lineage has many unimaginable inheritances. Many people nodded, obviously agreeing with the cultivator's words. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the battle above the supreme pillar. Now, the brilliant star slash's power had been greatly enhanced. It seemed to want to tear Lin Feng in half. If Lin Feng chose to dodge again, the brilliant star slash's power would continue to increase. Lin Feng knew this very well, so he didn't dodge. Instead, he raised his right hand and slashed out with a saber light. The dazzling saber light seemed to be able to tear the world apart, and it instantly slashed towards the terrifying beam of light formed by the brilliant star slash. Purple Chi from the east. Just as Lin Feng was about to deal with the brilliant star slash, Zi Donglai made his move again. Purple Chi from the east was one of Zi Donglai's most tyrannical techniques. A huge rumbling sound rang out. In the void, a purple river surged endlessly, sweeping towards Lin Feng. Zi Donglai was extremely experienced in battle, so he was able to seize the best opportunity to attack Lin Feng. When Lin Feng had blocked the brilliant star slash, it was the best opportunity for Zi Donglai to make his move. This was because it took a certain amount of time to use a second heavenly astral technique after using one heavenly astral technique. Zi Donglai wanted to take advantage of that opportunity to attack Lin Feng. He wanted to take advantage of that opportunity to kill Lin Feng. Zi Donglai is too strong. He grasps the opportunity to attack to the finest degree. Many cultivators exclaimed. Those who were able to come here were all experts, so they could naturally see that Zi Donglai had the advantage. Many people felt that Lin Feng was in danger. The long river of purple Qi smashed down like a Milky Way. The void was instantly pierced through, let alone flesh and blood. Just as the purple river was about to drown Lin Feng disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng had both a primary and secondary primordial spirit, and he could even use two heavenly astral techniques at the same time. Therefore, there was no time difference when switching between heavenly astral techniques. Zi Donglai wanted to use the time difference to deal with Lin Feng, but his wishful thinking was a mistake. He disappeared. Many people exclaimed. Lin Feng had disappeared without a trace. This was unbelievable. Many people couldn't help but wonder, how did Lin Feng disappear? Could it be that he had borrowed the power of a powerful treasure? Swoosh! With a flash of light, Lin Feng appeared behind Zi Donglai. He used the 5 Emperor Dragon Fists to attack Zi Donglai. Lin Feng used the Qing Emperor's Demonic Dragon Fists, the Red Emperor's Fire Dragon Fists, the White Emperor's Golden Dragon Fists, the Black Emperor's Water Dragon Fists, and the Yellow Emperor's Divine Dragon Fists. 5 heavenly astral techniques circulated endlessly. 5 great emperors appeared behind Lin Feng, surrounded by holy light. They wore imperial robes and stood on giant dragons. With a soft roar, the void shattered. Zi Donglai's expression suddenly changed. He hastily attacked, condensing a moon-embracing seal to block Lin Feng's 5 Emperor Dragon Fists. It was as if he was holding the moon in his arms. He collided with Lin Feng, but Zi Donglai's hasty attack was no match for Lin Feng. He was sent flying by Lin Feng's punch. Barf in midair. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 1169. Zi Donglai coughed up blood? Am I hallucinating? Of course not. Zi Donglai is injured. Who is that guy? How is he so strong? Many people cried out in surprise, their faces full of shock. Zi Donglai was a supreme young genius, and he was also a descendant of the Earth Master branch. Therefore, even supreme young geniuses couldn't compete with Zi Donglai. Now, Zi Donglai had been beaten up by Lin Feng, and he was coughing up blood. How could everybody not be astonished? Only a few people knew Lin Feng. Many people had never seen Lin Feng before. Even though some people had already recognized Lin Feng, they didn't make a big deal out of it. Therefore, only a few people knew Lin Feng's identity. Most people didn't know who Lin Feng was. At that moment, someone said, "That's Lin Feng, the one who stepped on Morong Tianshan." This sentence was like 1,000 ripples that had been set off. It caused a huge commotion. He's Lin Feng, the one with incredible cultivation talent, Lin Feng? Yes, that's him. No wonder he was able to injure Zi Donglai. He's terrifyingly talented. He's probably in the top 10 chosen geniuses. Even though he's very talented, he's still a little young. He's a few years younger than Huangfu Qingtian, Huangdao Wuji, Zhang Yudi, and the others. For chosen geniuses like them, being a few years younger can cause a huge difference in their strength. Therefore, it's quite difficult for him to be in the top 10, but it shouldn't be a problem for him to be in the top 50. Lin Feng was born at the wrong time. If he had been born a few years earlier, He would have been the only chosen genius of his generation. But he was born a few years later, so he'll be suppressed by the strongest chosen geniuses. But I think that Lin Feng will be able to defeat Zidong Lai. Even though Zidong Lai is also a proud cultivator, he's not ranked very high. Brother, if you think that Zidong Lai is so easy to deal with, then you're gravely mistaken. Zidong Lai's strongest point isn't the divine abilities he cultivates, but the secret techniques passed down by the Geomasters. That's the most terrifying part about him. Earlier, Zidong Lai was injured because he used divine abilities to fight against Lin Feng. That's why he was at a disadvantage. But if he uses the inheritance of the Geomasters, then Lin Feng will be at a disadvantage. Many of the cultivators there were pointing and discussing the matter. At present, they all knew about Lin Feng's identity. However, Lin Feng was indeed somewhat young. Due to that, many of them began looking down on Lin Feng. However, this was also human nature. No matter how good one's talent was, if one cultivated for a short period of time, it was still very difficult to raise one's strength. Lin Feng was about 5 years younger than Huangfu Qingtian and the other top geniuses. If Lin Feng, Huangfu Qingtian, and the others had already cultivated for hundreds, thousands, or even thousands of years, then a mere 5 years was naturally nothing. However, the key point was that Lin Feng, Huangfu Qingtian, and the other top geniuses were still very young. Lin Feng was 25 years old, while Huangfu Qingtian and the other top geniuses were about 30 years old. This group of people had cultivated for a relatively short period of time. Therefore, the impact of Lin Feng's 5 years of cultivation was too great. Brat, I want your life. At this time, Zidong Lai, who was on the supreme pillar, roared furiously. He had never suffered such humiliation before. He was actually beaten to the point of vomiting blood. This kind of humiliation was driving him crazy. Zidong Lai only wanted Lin Feng's life now. Boom! Terrifying fluctuations emanated from Zidong Lai's body as formation runes intertwined. More than 10 formation runes condensed. The formation runes eventually transformed into a huge dragon that was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. The formation runes condensed into a huge dragon. This was the inheritance of the Geomaster lineage. Zidong Lai had used this move to kill more than 10 cultivators who had besieged him. Now, Zidong Lai was using this move again to deal with Lin Feng. The formation runes dragon. Zidong Lai used this powerful inheritance to kill more than 10 cultivators who had besieged him. I wonder if Lin Feng can withstand Zidong Lai's attack? Many people exclaimed. Clearly, Zidong Lai's formation runes dragon had left a deep impression on all the cultivators. Huangfu Qingtian, Di Shengtian, Ning Litao, and the others looked at the battlefield coldly. They naturally hoped that Zidong Lai could kill Lin Feng. That would save them a lot of trouble. Shang Tianyang frowned slightly and said, I wonder if Brother Lin can withstand Zidong Lai's attack. The inheritance of the Geomaster lineage is not only strange, but also terrifying. Bai Xingyi smiled and said, Brother Tianyang, you've been away from the 72 prefectures for too long. That's why you're not familiar with some of the things that have happened in the 72 prefectures. What do you mean, Fairy Bai? Shang Tianyang asked curiously. Bai Xingyi said, I wonder if Brother Tianyang has heard the news that the successor of the Heavenly Master lineage has reappeared in this world? Shang Tianyang was slightly taken aback, then said, Of course I've heard of it. However, the Tianwu continent's 3,000 prefectures is too vast. There's a lot of news every day, and most of it can't be taken seriously. That's why I didn't pay much attention to it. Could it be true? Bai Xingyi nodded and said, Not only is it true, but the successor of the Heavenly Master lineage is none other than Lin Feng. Shang Tianyang's eyes widened as he was deeply shocked. Bai Xingyi smiled and said, Do you think that Zidong Lai is still a match for Lin Feng? Shang Tianyang laughed and said, How can the legacy of the Heavenly Master lineage compare to the legacy of the Heavenly Master lineage? It's like the light of a firefly competing with the radiance of the moon. While the cultivators below were discussing this, Zidong Lai's formation dragons had already arrived in front of Lin Feng. Each formation dragon was extremely ferocious. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws. Brat, let's see how you'll die. Zidong Lai laughed sinisterly. Clearly, He was extremely confident in his formation dragons. These formation dragons were not only powerful, but they also formed a huge formation in the sky. Their power could be linked together, so breaking through them was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. The legacy of the heavenly master lineage is trash in my eyes. Lin Feng sneered. Zidonglai said gloomily, Brat, you're about to die, yet you still dare to boast so shamelessly. You'll be on the Supreme Berserk Corpse Pillar in a moment. I can't be bothered to argue with you because you're not worthy. I'm not worthy? You think too highly of yourself. Lin Feng looked indifferent as he walked through the sky. The formation dragons attacked Lin Feng, but no matter how they attacked, they couldn't hurt Lin Feng. Lin Feng rushed out of the formation dragon's encirclement and used a teleportation technique to appear in front of Zidonglai. You're saying that I'm not worthy? I think you're the one who's not worthy of being my opponent because you're really too weak. Lin Feng sneered. He raised his right hand and punched Zidonglai's face. Buffed, Zidonglai's body was sent flying. Half of his face had been smashed by Lin Feng's punch. Chapter 1170. Who the hell are you? How could you break my Geomaster technique? Zidong looked at Lin Feng gloomily. He was beginning to suspect Lin Feng's identity. If someone didn't understand the Geomaster technique, it would be very difficult to break it. But when Lin Feng broke it, it was too easy. Lin Feng, the disciple of the Celestial Masters. Lin Feng looked indifferent. It's you. Zidong's eyes suddenly burst out with a thick, killing intent. Zidong had heard about the disciple of the Celestial Masters a long time ago. Besides, the Geomasters had sent strong cultivators to find Lin Feng. Zidong hadn't thought that he would meet the disciple of the Celestial Masters here. And this person was the one who had trampled on Murong Tianshan, Lin Feng. When he heard the name Lin Feng, Zidong was certain. Zidonglai was sure that Lin Feng was the one everyone was talking about. No wonder he was so strong. It was normal for such a strong cultivator to be so strong. Lin Feng looked indifferent. Are you surprised? I know that the Geomasters are looking for me. I'm standing right here. Show me all of your trump cards. Zidonglai sneered. You've worn out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it by chance. Since you've come to die, don't blame me. Today, I'll use the inheritance of your Tianshi clan to kill you, just like the ancestors of our Tianshi clan did. They killed the descendants of your Tianshi clan and then robbed them of their inheritance. Your fate will be the same. When he finished speaking, Zidong stepped forward. Rumbling sounds spread in the air. 8 illusory worlds appeared around Zidonglai. Those were the 8 worlds Zidong had used before. Those were the ultimate techniques of the Celestial Masters. You killed the ancestors of the Celestial Masters for your own selfish desires. In this world, the Geomasters are destined to be destroyed by me. And you, Zidong, will be the first disciple of the Geomasters I'll kill. Lin Feng looked indifferent as he quickly moved towards Zidong. Skyrend, sword intent, sword and blade fusion. In a flash, they pierced through the air and moved towards Zidong. What shameless boasting! Zidong smiled evilly. Today, I'll let you know how powerful the 8 worlds are. I'll use the techniques of the Celestial Masters to kill the disciples of the Celestial Masters. Just thinking about it makes me feel good. Lin Feng's attack arrived in front of Zidonglai. Zidonglai used his 8 directional worlds to absorb Lin Feng's attack. The 8 worlds neutralized Lin Feng's attacks. As for Zidonglai, with a single step, he crossed several hundred meters in an instant. The 8 directional worlds had many wonderful uses, and its attainments in the aspect of speed were also extremely high. After arriving in front of Lin Feng, Zidong threw a punch at Lin Feng. Lin Feng hurriedly blocked with a punch, but was sent flying by Zidong. But now, after communicating with that great being in the unseen world, a stream of energy descended from the sky and poured into the illusory stone scripture. The illusory stone scripture became a lot more solid. Lin Feng was shocked. Could it be that the stone scripture's main body had sensed his great promise as the Celestial Master's descendant? Was that why a part of its strength had been transmitted to him? The Celestial Master's holy scripture was a treasure nurtured by heaven and earth. Lin Feng wasn't surprised that it could sense his great promise. Come out. Lin Feng waved his right hand, and the illusory stone scripture flew out. It was a huge book. The book opened. Lin Feng stood on top of it. When the 8 trigrams fell, the stone scripture swallowed them whole. The 8 trigrams turned into a talisman on the stone scripture. How is that possible? Zidong roared in disbelief. 8 seals. Great suppression art. Lin Feng threw himself at Zidong Lai. First, he used the 8 godly seals to seal him. Then he used the great oppressive technique to oppress him. 2 things at the same time. Zidong roared in anger. He wanted to break Lin Feng's seals and suppression, but he failed. His body was entangled by the dense array patterns. Then, he was suppressed by the great suppression art. He couldn't move. Lin Feng jumped forwards and threw a punch at Zidong Lai's dantian. Bang! Lin Feng's punch landed on Zidong's abdomen. Crack, crack. Zidong's dantian shattered. He flew back dozens of meters and fell to the ground. His hair was disheveled and his body was twitching violently. Zidong Lai's dantian had been destroyed by Lin Feng, and he had become a cripple. Chapter 1171. I've been crippled. My dantian has been destroyed. I've become a cripple. How did this happen? How could I become a cripple? Zidong roared in disbelief. He couldn't accept this. He was a proud son of the heavens. Everyone looked up to him. The stars revolved around the moon. Now, he had become a cripple. It was as if an emperor had suddenly become a beggar. Such a huge difference was unbearable. It's you. It's all your fault. You crippled me. You'll die a horrible death. Zidong glared at Lin Feng with hatred. He blamed everything on Lin Feng. He wanted nothing more than to cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces. Lin Feng looked at Zidong indifferently and sneered. I can confirm that I'm living very well, but you've become a cripple. He walked towards Zidong, step by step. At that moment, the surrounding cultivators came back to their senses, and their expressions changed. Zidong, the successor of the Earth Master's branch. He had actually been crippled. This was simply earth-shattering news. Zidong's crippling was enough to cause a huge uproar. Many people were pointing and discussing. Some were shocked by Lin Feng's strength, while others looked at Lin Feng with killing intent. Some admired Lin Feng for daring to cripple Zidong, while others looked at Lin Feng with greedy eyes. Obviously, these people had their eyes on the inheritance that Lin Feng had obtained. Lin Feng arrived in front of Zidong and used the soul-searching technique, forcibly searching Zidong's soul. This person had learned the 8 trigrams diagram and the 8 trigrams world. Lin Feng naturally wanted to search and take back the inheritance that had been stolen from him. Zidong roared in pain. You dare to search my soul? You won't succeed. Don't even think about getting anything from me. Shut up. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He directly restrained Zidong Lai, preventing him from moving or speaking. Lin Feng's spiritual sense poured into Zidong's body, forcibly searching his soul. How dare you? Suddenly, a cold voice rang out in Zidong Lai's mind. Then, a figure appeared. This was a middle-aged man. He was like a deity, exuding boundless majesty. The spiritual brand of a rebirth stage expert. Lin Feng was shocked. He did not expect to encounter such a powerful figure. Zidong Lai was also a top-notch genius in the Geomaster lineage. A genius like him was heavily nurtured by the Geomaster lineage. If nothing unexpected happened, Zidong Lai would have an important position in the Geomaster faction in the future. Therefore, a successor like Zidong Lai was highly valued. From the fact that Zidong Lai had been able to learn the 8 trigrams and the 8 trigrams, one could see how extraordinary Zidong Lai's status in the Geomaster lineage was. Zidong Lai's memories contained many secrets. Not only did they contain various inheritances, but they also contained secrets of the Geomaster lineage. Therefore, the higher-ups of the Geomaster lineage had left a spiritual brand in Zidong Lai's mind. This spiritual brand would be awakened when Zidong Lai's soul was searched. First, it could destroy Zidong Lai's soul so that the secrets in his memories would not be exposed. Second, it could deal with those who wanted to search Zidong Lai's soul. Now that the spiritual brand of a rebirth stage expert had been awakened, It directly attacked Lin Feng's soul. That was the godly awareness imprint of a cultivator of the reincarnation layer. It was terrifying. Lin Feng sensed death qi when that cultivator attacked. A rebirth stage expert. That was terrifying. Just a divine sense imprint had such terrifying power. It was truly shocking and moving. If it were anyone else, they might have died. However, it was impossible to deal with Lin Feng. That was because Lin Feng had the heavenly flames. To put it bluntly, the spiritual brand was formed by the power of the soul. The power of the soul was the power of the darkness attribute. The heavenly flames, the world's hottest and fiercest flame. It was the bane of all darkness attribute powers. The spiritual brand formed by the power of the soul was naturally suppressed by the heavenly flames. Heavenly flames, come out. With a thought, Lin Feng summoned the purple earthcore flame and the black god-incinerating flame in Zidonglai's mind. Then, they wrapped around the spiritual brand of the rebirth stage expert. The heavenly flames burned fiercely. A blood-curdling shriek rang out. The spiritual brand of the rebirth stage expert had been severely injured. Heavenly flames. It's actually the heavenly flames. You actually have two types of heavenly flames. His voice was trembling with disbelief. In this era, it was extremely difficult to even see a heavenly flame, let alone refine it. However, Lin Feng had refined two types of heavenly flames. It was truly too heaven-defying. Die. Lin Feng's voice was cold. He activated the two heavenly flames, wanting to refine the spiritual brand of the rebirth stage expert to death. The spiritual brand of the rebirth stage expert knew that the situation was hopeless. Wanting to destroy Lin Feng's soul was no longer realistic. Therefore, his spiritual brand rushed towards Zidonglai's soul, wanting to destroy it. Lin Feng sneered. You're too arrogant. If you had tried to destroy Zidonglai's soul, I wouldn't have been able to stop you. At that time, all my efforts would have been for naught. However, you chose to attack me first, wanting to destroy my soul. In that case, you've already lost the chance to destroy Zidonglai's soul. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng used the Great Entanglement Art. The Great Path of the 3,000 Great Paths was originally a divine ability that the witch, Guan Guan, had mastered. Although Lin Feng and Guan Guan hadn't had an intimate relationship, the two of them had basically confirmed that they were a couple. Lin Feng wanted to learn the Great Entanglement Art, so Guan Guan wasn't stingy and taught it to Lin Feng. It was obvious that Guan Guan really liked Lin Feng. Otherwise, she wouldn't have taught such a divine ability to Lin Feng. After Lin Feng used the Great Entanglement Art, the spiritual brand of the rebirth stage expert was entangled, preventing him from flying towards Zidonglai's soul. Damn it! The spiritual brand of the rebirth stage expert roared. However, he couldn't break free. Die! Lin Feng sneered. The heavenly flames burned even brighter, their destructive power increasing. Not long after, the spiritual brand of the rebirth stage expert was slowly dissipating. Before the spiritual brand of the rebirth stage expert was completely destroyed, a voice filled with murderous intent rang out. Brat, just you wait. The Earth Masters will hunt you down endlessly until you're dead. I'll wait. Let's see if you kill me, or if I destroy your Geomaster branch. Lin Feng smiled icily and punched the reincarnation cultivator's godly awareness to pieces. Soul search. After that, Lin Feng forcefully searched Zidonglai's soul. Zidonglai's soul let out a miserable shriek. Found it. Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised. His spiritual brand had found the information he needed in Zidonglai's soul. This information contained many astonishing secrets, including the cultivation methods of the 8 trigrams art and the 8 trigrams art. Chapter 1172. I'll send you on your way. Don't be my enemy in your next life, because my enemies are destined to die. Lin Feng looked indifferent. He raised his right hand and chopped off Zidonglai's head. Many people were shocked. Zidonglai was a supreme genius, and he was also the successor of the Geomaster faction. How could he be killed just like that? It was obvious that Lin Feng and the Geomaster faction would not rest until one of them was dead. Lin Feng threw Zidonglai's corpse away. At that moment, the supreme pillar was enveloped by a light screen. That was because 2 hours had passed since the barrier around the supreme pillar had disappeared. Therefore, the barrier around the supreme pillar would reappear and protect the cultivator who occupied the supreme pillar from being disturbed. The cultivator who occupied the supreme pillar would not be able to hear anything from the outside world. He could cultivate peacefully on the supreme pillar. He's lucky, Di Shangtian, Ning Li Tao, and the other cultivators who wanted to attack Lin Feng's supreme pillar looked cold and gloomy when they saw that it was covered by the barrier again. Lin Feng sat cross-legged on the ground. What was happening outside had nothing to do with him anymore. He started to comprehend the 8 worlds and the 8 trigrams diagram. Gradually, Lin Feng entered a state of enlightenment. It was not easy to comprehend the top inheritance of the Heavenly Master faction. Lin Feng tried to comprehend it for a long time, but he still could not comprehend its mysteries. Suddenly, a voice resounded in Lin Feng's mind. Heavenly Pillar of Fortune. Fortune descends from the heavens. The great Tao is one, and the divine ability is formed. As the voice finished speaking, suddenly, the world of 8 directions and the 8 trigrams, the 2 legacies of the celestial master path, began to take the initiative to form a magical formation. This is fortune? Lin Feng was shocked. Then, he looked happy. This heavenly pillar of good fortune, supreme pillar, was simply too amazing. The good fortune that descended could help a cultivator actively comprehend a divine ability and successfully cultivate it. Just how much time would a cultivator be saved from bitter cultivation? Lin Feng finally understood why so many people were fighting for the supreme pillar. When the 8 directions world and the 8 trigrams diagram began to form the divine ability grand array. Immediately after, the divine finger, heaven-burning fire art, Buddha's fury thousand waves slash, stellar transposition, galaxy-shattering fist, and raging wave sword art. These 6 ancient divine abilities also began to take the initiative to form a divine ability grand formation. Lin Feng had yet to comprehend the 6 primordial divine powers after obtaining them. Now, he didn't need to cultivate by himself because Lin Feng had received a blessing. All divine abilities would automatically be cultivated successfully. In the end, all 8 top-notch divine abilities were upgraded to the realm of greater mastery. This made Lin Feng very excited. If he wanted to cultivate all 8 divine abilities to the great success stage, he would need to spend at least a few years. Now, good fortune had descended. The time needed to painstakingly cultivate divine arts would be completely saved. In addition to these 8 divine abilities, Lin Feng's great entanglement technique had also reached the great success stage. Originally, Lin Feng had only cultivated this ability to the entry level. Under the effect of the power of fortune, he had leveled up by 2 levels, from entry level to lesser mastery, and then to greater mastery. Therefore, this time, Lin Feng had obtained a celestial pillar of good fortune, supreme pillar, which was extremely beneficial for him. After all these divine abilities had reached greater mastery, Lin Feng's Danci expanded once again. Even more magic power poured into the Danci. Lin Feng's magic power became even more majestic than before. It was even more profound and powerful. Cultivating a primordial divine ability could greatly increase one's cultivation. Not to mention, Lin Feng had cultivated 6 primordial divine abilities, 2 top-notch divine abilities from the celestial master lineage, and one of the 3,000 great Tao. The increase in strength was even more obvious. But the power of fortune clearly didn't end like this. Occupying the heavenly pillar of fortune, rewarded with the power of providence. That voice resounded again. The power of providence was the most ethereal power. Some people could pick up magic treasures when they went out. Some people would meet with misfortune when they went out. Why was it that when they went out, what they experienced was great joy and great sorrow? Why was there such a huge contrast? The reason was because of providence. Those with strong providence would often encounter providence. Those with poor providence might choke to death when drinking water. Now, Lin Feng had received the blessing of providence. Lin Feng immediately felt that there was an invisible and intangible energy in his body. Lin Feng could sense the existence of this energy, but he couldn't sense what kind of power this power of providence was. The power of providence was fleeting and ephemeral. It existed in the world, But cultivators couldn't discover this energy. Fortune, providence, 2 rewards have been completed. Choose to continue cultivating, or choose to be teleported out. That voice sounded again. Lin Feng estimated the time of the battlefield of prodigies. There were probably less than 2 months left before the battlefield of prodigies closed. He had already obtained enough benefits in the battlefield of prodigies. It was time to leave the battlefield of prodigies. Leaving early could also save a lot of trouble. Choose to leave, Lin Feng replied. Swoosh. With a flash of light, Lin Feng disappeared from the heavenly pillar of fortune, supreme pillar. 100 miles away, light flickered. Lin Feng stepped out of the void. He didn't stay any longer and flew towards the exit of the battlefield of prodigies. When he arrived at the exit, Lin Feng encountered trouble. This was because he discovered that many people were searching for his whereabouts. At the same time, powerful divine will swept across the void. These were the divine senses of Rebirth Realm experts. Some of the cultivators who left the battlefield of prodigies felt the divine senses of these Rebirth Realm experts, and their expressions changed drastically. They thought that something serious had happened. At this time, someone said, "Don't be afraid. These Rebirth Realm experts are searching for Lin Feng's whereabouts to prevent Lin Feng from escaping. They're not targeting us." Searching for Lin Feng's whereabouts? The one who ascended to the prodigy arena? The Lin Feng who stepped on heavenly god Morong? A cultivator asked in surprise. That's right. Lin Feng's innate talent is too monstrous. Many factions don't want such a monstrous existence to appear in the world again. The cultivators who were discussing this matter left the battlefield of prodigies. As expected, they left without a hitch and didn't encounter any attacks. Lin Feng didn't dare to go out because the experts outside were searching for him. It wouldn't be easy to hide from them. This is troublesome. Lin Feng frowned. He had a feeling that things were developing in a very bad direction. The Blue Cloud sect didn't have any experts who could protect him. Therefore, if he went out like this, only death would await him. In the end, Lin Feng decided to take a risk. He used a simple disguise technique to change his appearance, turning into a middle-aged scholar around 40 years old. Then, he blended into a group of cultivators and left the battlefield of prodigies. When he arrived outside, he didn't stop and directly flew towards the teleportation array. Suddenly, a Rebirth Realm expert frowned slightly and looked at Lin Feng in the crowd. This was an expert from the Yin-Yang sect. He had a profound cultivation base. Stop. I have something to ask you. The Rebirth Realm expert said. Oh no. Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed. Trying to hide from a Rebirth Realm expert was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Lin Feng soared into the sky and flew towards the teleportation array. So it's you. Where do you think you're going? The Rebirth level cultivator's eyes twinkled. He stretched out his hand and grabbed Lin Feng. Chapter 1173. He's Lin Feng. Haha. Wonderful. He's finally here. Attack. The Rebirth Realm cultivators attacked one after another. Those Rebirth Realm cultivators looked down on the 3,000 provinces. They were invincible. Maybe they didn't have any enmity with Lin Feng, but so what? The world of cultivators was a cruel world. It was a world where the strong set the rules. As long as these strong people wanted to, they could kill anyone they wanted. Besides, Lin Feng had precious treasures and all sorts of powerful inheritances. That was enough for those rebirth-level cultivators to target Lin Feng. Demon Lord, Lin Feng said telepathically. He wanted to make a deal with the Demon Lord. If the Demon Lord attacked, he would definitely be able to get out of this predicament. However, the Demon Lord didn't reply to Lin Feng. Lin Feng suddenly remembered that the Demon Lord had obtained some sacred source liquid. Was he in seclusion again? The Demon Lord always stayed in seclusion for a long time. If the Demon Lord was in seclusion at such a critical moment, wouldn't Lin Feng die? 7 or 8 Rebirth Realm cultivators attacked Lin Feng. The situation was extremely dangerous. It's Lin Feng, the Celestial Master Taoist's disciple. He's finally appeared. His talent is too heaven-defying. Many great powers won't let such a genius live. They've killed many geniuses before, murmured Lin Feng. Those influential groups want to control the continent of the celestial martial continent. They want absolute strength. Therefore, they kill all the potential threats. Even though their actions are disgraceful, they've been doing it for so many years. Many incredible geniuses have been killed, but those influential groups are still in control of the continent of the celestial martial continent. That way, they can enjoy the benefits of being the overlords of the continent of the celestial martial continent. Actually, they don't need to do that. Even if those geniuses become stronger, they won't necessarily become enemies. Brother, you don't understand, right? Do you know what jealousy means? If such a monstrous cultivator appeared in a powerful group of influence, that would be great. But Lin Feng's background is ordinary. He's just from an ancient influential group. If we don't kill him now, he'll be recruited by a powerful group of influence in the near future. Then, if we want to kill him, we'll have to think twice. The best way is to kill him so that no powerful group of influence can recruit such a monstrous cultivator, Lin Feng said, shaking his head. I see. No wonder those influential groups chose to kill Lin Feng. Of course, there's another important reason. Lin Feng is a monstrous genius. He has too many secrets, and those influential groups want to share them with him. Many cultivators were talking about Lin Feng. In their eyes, Lin Feng was no different from a dead man. No matter how strong Lin Feng was, it was impossible for him to escape from the encirclement of a group of rebirth realm cultivators. I'm finished. Lin Feng's face turned pale when he saw the rebirth state cultivators surrounding him. He felt that his body could not move at all. The aura of death was so clear that he could smell it. Just when Lin Feng thought he was going to die, the air shook. A young man in snow-white clothes stepped out. He shot out a ray of light, blocking the attacks of the rebirth state cultivators. He grabbed Lin Feng and retreated 1,000 meters. Holy Lord Peacock, what's the meaning of this? The faces of the rebirth realm experts instantly turned gloomy. The young man was Holy Lord Peacock. Lin Feng had seen him fight before. He was like a god. When he left the South Continent with the monster race, he went to the monster continent. He went to Holy Lord Peacock's territory, but Lin Feng didn't see him. Thank you, Senior. Lin Feng bowed. Holy Lord Peacock nodded and looked at the rebirth state cultivators of the Yin-Yang sect and the Geomaster branch. He said indifferently, Lin Feng is Great Emperor Tai Ching's benefactor. He's related to the Beast clan. Today, I'll tell you that in the future, if any old cultivator of the reincarnation realm dares attack Lin Feng, I'll go to the ends of the earth to take their heads. Holy Lord Peacock clasped his hands behind his back. Hiss. Many people gasped. Holy Lord Peacock was too strong. He was facing so many rebirth state cultivators alone, and he still dared to say such a thing. Holy Lord Peacock is too arrogant. He's only been cultivating for 800 years. Even though he's strong, those rebirth state cultivators are all extremely strong. Holy Lord Peacock sneered. The Yin-Yang sect cultivator was called Song Mingyu. He smiled coldly and said, Holy Lord Peacock, you're just a junior who's only been cultivating for 800 years. How dare you act so arrogantly? Today, I'll suppress you. I'll show you how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Song Mingyu was the one who had discovered Lin Feng. He'd been cultivating for 8,700 years. He was terrifyingly strong. When he stepped forward, the space around him distorted. I'd like to see how strong you are. Holy Lord Peacock stepped forward. Lin Feng looked at Holy Lord Peacock worriedly. He knew how strong Holy Lord Peacock was, but Song Mingyu was also a peerless cultivator. Besides, he'd been cultivating for too long. Lin Feng was worried that Holy Lord Peacock would suffer. Pluto descends. Song Mingyu sneered. He condensed a peerless divine power. Black fog surged out. An ancient aura was emitted from within the black fog. Vaguely, a man in a pitch-black imperial robe appeared. That person seemed to be the Pluto King, who controlled the underworld. He controlled the life and death of billions of people. If the Pluto King wants you dead at midnight, he won't let you live until dawn. The Pluto King stepped forward and attacked Holy Lord Peacock with his palm. Boundless death energy enveloped Holy Lord Peacock. Countless cultivators trembled in fear when they sensed the Pluto King's chi. Many people couldn't help but kneel on the ground and worship the Pluto King. The Pluto King didn't seem to be condensed from a spell. He seemed to be the real lord of the underworld. How terrifying. Lin Feng's expression became serious. A rebirth realm cultivator had the power to destroy the world with a wave of his hand. This Song Mingyu was so powerful that it made people despair. I am eternally brilliant, eternally immortal, Holy Lord Peacock murmured. The peacock's sacred lord murmured as his body turned into a ray of eternal light. The eternal light seemed to become the only thing in the world. It instantly tore the Pluto King apart. Then, the eternal light flew in front of Song Mingyu. Puff. There was a tearing sound. Blood splattered everywhere. An arm was thrown into the air. It was accompanied by Song Mingyu's painful groan. Song Mingyu. He was a terrifying rebirth realm cultivator. It was the first time he'd fought Holy Lord Peacock. Sacred Lord Peacock chopped off one of his arms. Chapter 1174. My arm. Song Mingming screamed. Song Mingyu couldn't help but let out a painful scream. Song Mingyu, who had lost an arm, was as pale as a sheet of paper, and his aura became disordered. Obviously, to an expert of his level, losing an arm was an unbearable pain. Holy Leader Peacock, you cut off my arm. I'll kill you, shouted Song Mingyu furiously. He wanted to put his life on the line. Is that so? Then I don't mind cutting off your head. Holy Leader Peacock clasped his hands behind his back. Song Mingyu couldn't help but shiver. After the initial anger and resentment, Song Mingyu felt a chill down his spine. Now that he had come back to his senses, he didn't dare attack Holy Leader Peacock anymore. That was because someone like the Peacock's sacred lord was a man of his word. Holy Leader Peacock is too strong. He cut off Song Mingyu's arm in one strike. What kind of cultivation level is he? Holy Leader Peacock has only cultivated for 800 years. He's already so strong in such a short time. How strong will he be in the future? Back in the days, there were two supreme geniuses. Holy Leader Peacock has grown up. As for the golden-winged rock, it's said that he has died. They were both dazzling in the past, but now they have completely different fates. Didn't Lin Feng become friends with the beasts because he was in the South Continent? He saved Great Emperor Taiching's descendant and destroyed the plan of the One Group, 3 governments. If he hadn't done that, the beasts wouldn't have become friends with the humans so easily. Holy Leader Peacock wouldn't have fought against so many strong cultivators for a human cultivator. Holy Leader Peacock is too strong. Those rebirth-level cultivators probably won't dare attack him anymore. With Holy Leader Peacock intimidating them, they'll have to behave themselves. They won't attack Lin Feng, at least not openly. As for whether they'll attack Lin Feng secretly, nobody knows. Many people were discussing in low voices. The expressions of the rebirth realm experts were gloomy. If they chose to retreat now, they would naturally lose face. But Holy Leader Peacock was too strong. They were terrified. Who would dare attack him? At this moment, Murong Tianshan, who was sitting cross-legged in the void, opened his eyes. Boom! Heavenly God Murong stood up. This person was simply too terrifying. The instant he stood up, the great Tao resonated, shaking the heavens and the earth. Many people were shocked. Was Heavenly Deity Murong going to take action? Heavenly God Murong was the only paragon on Heaven's Pride Mountain. But now, he was being trampled on by Lin Feng. No one found it strange that such a character would act against Lin Feng. You want to kill Lin Feng as well? Sacred Lord Peacock's expression was indifferent. Amir Jr. isn't worth my time. I'm here for you, Heavenly God Murong said. Lin Feng sneered in his heart. He felt that Heavenly God Murong was a very hypocritical person. Why did he say that? Lin Feng's judgment was not without basis. Back then, Lin Feng had reached the 99th step. Murong Tianshan's mark attacked Lin Feng, wanting to kill Lin Feng. This was because Heavenly God Murong didn't want others to share the 99th stone step with him. Thus, Heavenly God Murong was definitely not a broad-minded person. But now, how could Heavenly God Murong let Lin Feng go? But Heavenly God Murong said that he wasn't attacking because of Lin Feng. Who would believe his words? If it wasn't because of Lin Feng, then was it because of Sacred Lord Peacock? Why would heavenly god Morong offend someone as terrifying as Sacred Lord Peacock for no reason? Let me experience your divine abilities. Heavenly god Morong stepped forward, emitting a terrifying aura. He locked onto Sacred Lord Peacock. At that moment, the rebirth-level cultivators glanced at each other. They could all see the same glint in each other's eyes. Obviously, they wanted to take advantage of the fact that Heavenly God Morong was delaying Sacred Lord Peacock to secretly attack and kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng also thought of this. He sensed several terrifying killing intents. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly. He didn't dare to hesitate and quickly retreated. But at that moment, several terrifying energies surged over and locked onto Lin Feng. They wanted to kill Lin Feng. Not good. Lin Feng's expression became serious. He was about to take out the 4 vicious cauldron and hide inside. Lin Feng felt that if he hid inside the cauldron, it wouldn't be so easy for them to kill him. Cough, cough, cough. At that moment, a coughing sound could be heard. The void split open. A sickly-looking man walked out. After he appeared, all the attacks which were moving towards Lin Feng were instantly annihilated. Senior. Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised when he saw the newcomer. The sickly-looking man was actually the demon race's Great Peng King. When Lin Feng left Sacred Lord Peacock's territory, the Great Peng King was temporarily sealed in the sacred ice coffin. Now that he saw the Great Peng King again, the Great Peng King had actually come back to life. The Great Peng King turned to look at Lin Feng and nodded slightly. Then, he looked coldly at the Rebirth Realm cultivators in the distance. You're a Rebirth Realm cultivator, but you're secretly attacking a junior. You're a disgrace to your ancestors. King Zhan Peng sneered. Great Peng King, who are you talking about? The Rebirth Realm cultivators who attacked had extremely gloomy expressions. The Great Peng King sneered. Everyone knows who I'm talking about. Do you want me to point out the names? The Rebirth Realm cultivators' expressions were extremely ugly, but they could only endure it for now. The Great Peng King of the demon race was as famous as Sacred Lord Peacock. The fact that the Great Peng King was still alive after being injured was too terrifying. At that moment, Morong Tianshun and Sacred Lord Peacock collided, and their palms collided. With the two of them at the center, the space around them started to collapse. Many people were horrified. Was this really an attack that a mortal could use? It was like a battle between two gods. After the collision, Morong Tianshun retreated and returned to a distant place. He sat down cross-legged and didn't say anything. Sacred Lord Peacock stepped forward and returned. What's the result of their battle? Many people were puzzled and glanced at each other. They didn't know who had won the battle. Only those reincarnation stage cultivators were able to see some clues. Did my words go in one ear and out the other? Do you think you can kill Lin Feng by attacking secretly? Since you don't know what's good for you, I'll take your lives today. Sacred Lord Peacock's expression was indifferent. He was extremely powerful. A terrifying chi spread out from his body and enveloped the 7 Rebirth Realm cultivators. Heavens! Is Sacred Lord Peacock really going to kill the 7 Rebirth Realm cultivators? Many people were astonished. They couldn't believe it. His opponents were 7 Rebirth Realm cultivators, not 7 random cats and dogs. But Sacred Lord Peacock still wanted to fight against them without hesitation. He was way too strong. Sacred Lord Peacock, do you think you can fight against the 7 of us by yourself? Said the 7 Rebirth Realm cultivators coldly. What if I join? Great Peng King stepped forward and stood on Sacred Lord Peacock's left and right. They faced the 7 Rebirth Realm cultivators. Chapter 1175. Sacred Lord Peacock's white robe was as white as snow. He looked harmless, but he was like a young demon god, powerful and domineering. The Great Rock King's face was sickly pale, but his demonic aura was vast and mighty. Who dared to underestimate him? They were the 2 supreme beings of the demon race. Although they had only cultivated for 800 years, they were much more terrifying than others who had cultivated for tens of thousands of years. It was not without reason that the demon race saw them as the hope of revitalizing the demon race. The 7 reincarnation realm powerhouses included Yin-Yang sect Song Mingyu, 1 sect, 3 palaces, Gongsun Ming of the Heavenly Gate, Zhongjing family, Zhongjing Fu, Shangguan family, Shangguanqi. The other three powerhouses were Great Qin Empire, Yingxiangji, Yuhua Celestial Dynasty, Huangfu Mie, Archaic School of Moism, Imo Huanyu. These 7 powerhouses were all very powerful, but they did not dare to attack Sacred Lord Peacock and the Great Rock King. Their cultivation was similar to Song Mingyu's, but Sacred Lord Peacock had cut off Song Mingyu's arm with one move. This was enough to show how terrifying Sacred Lord Peacock was. Now that Sacred Lord Peacock and the Great Rock King had joined forces, these people were even more afraid. Originally, the 7 Reincarnation Realm powerhouses thought that Heavenly God Morong would be able to hold one of them back. After all, it was not difficult for him to do so. But now, Heavenly God Morong was sitting cross-legged in the void far away. He did not even open his eyes. Clearly, he had no intention of interfering. The 7 Reincarnation Realm powerhouses were very depressed. Initially, they had seen Mu Rong Tian Shan fight against Holy Peacock, so the 7 Reincarnation cultivators had decided to kill Lin Feng. But now, Heavenly God Morong had withdrawn from this matter and let the 7 of them deal with Sacred Lord Peacock and the Great Rock King. This made the 7 Reincarnation Realm powerhouses speechless. But thinking about it carefully, Heavenly God Morong had said from the beginning that he did not attack because of Lin Feng, but because he wanted to fight Sacred Lord Peacock. No one believed this reason, but it was their business whether they believed it or not. Heavenly God Morong could use this reason to get out of this matter. Then he could watch the show from the side. Heavenly God Morong now probably wanted Sacred Lord Peacock and the Great Rock King to fight with the 7 Reincarnation Realm powerhouses. Anyway, it had nothing to do with him. It would be even better if both sides suffered heavy losses. There were quite a few people who had the same idea as Morong Tianchen. Everyone. At this moment, a Rebirth Realm cultivator spoke. The crowd looked over and discovered that it was an old man. This person's identity was not simple. The one who spoke was the Martial Spirit Palace's Chief Hall Master, Xinyuan Jishur. The Martial Spirit Palace had the right to monitor the Sky Martial Continent. When there were conflicts between the various powers, the Martial Spirit Palace would come out to mediate and try their best to maintain the peace of the Sky Martial Continent. Therefore, the Martial Spirit Palace was extremely terrifying. Even the ancient Jiang clan, the Heavenly God Palace, and other factions were respectful toward the Martial Spirit Palace. As the Chief Temple Master of the Martial Spirit Palace, Xinyuan Jishur's status was naturally not to be underestimated. Seeing Xinyuan Jishur coming over, the 7 Reincarnation Realm experts breathed a sigh of relief. Sacred Master Peacock asked, "Is there something you need, Palace Master Xinyuan?" Once a Rebirth Realm cultivator dies, it will probably cause a war between the various powers. At that time, countless people will be affected and suffer heavy casualties. I presume that none of you want to see such a situation, right? Why don't you give me some face and take a step back? Xinyuan Jishur said. We don't have any objections. The 7 Reincarnation Realm experts hastily said. Xinyuan Jishur's appearance gave the 7 of them a way out. Many people sighed. Facing Sacred Master Peacock and King Zhanpeng, 2 sovereigns of the demon race, the 7 Reincarnation Realm experts didn't dare to make a move. From this, it could be seen how terrifying Sacred Master Peacock and King Zhanpeng were. This matter had a huge impact on many people, making them deeply understand a principle. In the end, this world was a world where the strong were respected, even among the peak experts. Only strength could determine a person's status. Sacred Master Peacock and King Zhanpeng glanced at each other. The 2 of them exchanged glances. Sacred Master Peacock then said, Brother Xinyuan, we naturally have to give you face, but we also have to see if these 7 people know how to behave. The 7 Reincarnation Realm experts' expressions were gloomy. Sacred Master Peacock's tone was too casual when talking about them, as if he didn't put them in his eyes at all. This made the 7 Reincarnation Realm experts feel extremely sullen. However, in the end, the 7 Reincarnation Realm experts didn't dare make a move. Gong Sunming said in a low voice, If you have something to say, just say it. There's no need to hide it. Sacred Master Peacock clasped his hands behind his back and said, All right, since you're straightforward people, I'll be frank. The 7 of you, take out 100 million top-grade spirit stones each as compensation, and we'll consider today's matter as settled. 100 million? Why don't you just rob us? The 7 reincarnation realm experts were like cats whose tails had been stepped on. They roared furiously. Top-grade spirit stones were too precious, even for a top group like them. Even if they took out 100 million top-grade spirit stones, they would still suffer a great loss. You want to fight? King Zhanpeng said indifferently. The 7 reincarnation realm experts' expressions became unsightly. They naturally didn't want to fight because they had no chance of winning. If they really fought, the 7 of them would probably be killed by the 2 sovereigns. They knew this very well. All right, we'll. The 7 of them clenched their teeth and each took out a crystal card. They gave it to Sacred Master Peacock and said, "This is a crystal card with 100 million top-grade spirit stones stored in it. Any merchant guild in the Tianwu continent can take out top-grade spirit stones." 700 million top-grade spirit stones just like that? Lin Feng was dumbfounded. Many people's mouths twitched when they saw this, but then they sighed. In front of absolute strength, even the 7 reincarnation realm experts who represented the 7 top groups had to lower their heads. This made many people realize the importance of strength. In front of absolute strength, their so-called influence couldn't even withstand a single blow. Demonic chi covered the sky and enveloped Sacred Master Peacock, King Zhanpeng, and Lin Feng. The 3 of them flew into the transportation formation and disappeared without a trace. Sacred Master Peacock and King Zhanpeng are going too far. The 7 reincarnation realm experts' eyes flashed with killing intent. Don't they want to protect Lin Feng? Then let's destroy Lin Feng and have our chosen kill Lin Feng. Indeed, let's do that. The Peacock King and King Zhanpeng won't be able to protect the people we want to kill. After we kill Lin Feng, we'll send his head to the Peacock King and King Zhanpeng's residence. I really want to see their expressions when they see Lin Feng's head. The 7 reincarnation state experts communicated with each other through their spiritual consciousnesses as they laughed sinisterly. Chapter 1176. Lin Feng once again arrived at the territory of the Yao continent's sacred Lord Peacock. Big brother, big brother. When Little Moon heard that Lin Feng had arrived, she was extremely happy. She skipped over to Lin Feng. When she saw Lin Feng, she opened her arms and ran over. Lin Feng hugged Little Moon and smiled. "Did you miss Big Brother?" Little Moon said innocently. Little Moon missed Big Brother. She even kissed Lin Feng on the cheek. Many people around them chuckled. Lin Feng saw many familiar faces: Jin Shengyuan, Princess Shuiyao, and the others. At night, Jin Shengyuan came to Lin Feng's place. He took out a crystal card and gave it to Lin Feng. Jin Shengyuan said, "Uncle asked me to give this to you. There are 100 million top-grade spirit stones inside. You can use them to cultivate." Sacred Lord Peacock and King Zhanpeng had extorted these stones from the 7 rebirth realm cultivators, but 100 million was too much. He said, "There are so many people in the land of the demonic beasts, and they need cultivation resources. I don't lack top-grade spirit stones. Please help me return them to the seniors." Jin Shengyuan said, "Since Uncle is giving them to you, just accept them. Don't refuse. You don't need to worry about the territory of the Yao continent. Uncle Kong found a few large spiritual mines, and with the 600 million top-grade spirit stones he obtained recently, he can solve the problem of the Yao continent's need for cultivation resources. On the other hand, Brother Feng, you have too many spirit stones. You need too many spirit stones to break through to the life and death realm." Lin Feng knew that King Zhanpeng and Sacred Lord Peacock were helping him. Lin Feng was indeed lacking in spirit stones. Lin Feng was extremely grateful to the 2 seniors. It wasn't just because they had saved his life. It was also because both King Zhanpeng and Sacred Lord Peacock treated Lin Feng like he was their own descendant. This was not a friendship that was purely based on the exchange of interests, but a kind of affection similar to family. For Lin Feng, who did not have any relatives by his side, he naturally cherished this kind of relationship very much. He didn't refuse again and put the crystal card away. Lin Feng stayed in the sacred Peacock Lord's territory for about half a month before returning to the desolate region. Now that Sacred Lord Peacock and Great Peng King had intimidated the Rebirth Realm ancestors of the top forces, Lin Feng was not afraid that they would attack him. Lin Feng guessed that some of the geniuses from the top powers would make a move. However, Lin Feng wasn't afraid of those geniuses. Not long after they returned to the Blue Cloud sect, Shi Weizhu, Bai Ying, Wang Hu, and the others also returned. I'm going on a long journey. The old drunkard was somewhat melancholy. Where to? Lin Feng asked. The Four Seas is home. The old drunkard took a sip of wine and grinned. This old man was obviously not telling the truth. The old drunkard's identity was very mysterious. Even Lin Feng didn't know who he was. However, the old drunkard was definitely not a simple person. Will we have a chance to meet again? Lin Feng asked. Maybe, maybe not. The old drunkard said. Lin Feng nodded. That night, he chatted with the old drunkard for a long time. They drank until dawn, and he lost consciousness. 1,000 cups are not enough when drinking with a bosom friend. When Lin Feng woke up, the old drunkard had already left, leaving behind a note. The old drunkard had left just like that, and the laughter in the Supreme Peak seemed to have died down. Bibi and the dragon rabbit were still sleeping most of the time. When they woke up, they would run around the Supreme Peak like crazy. Lin Feng spent his days either cultivating or studying the Celestial Master Sect's inheritance and alchemy. Of course, he would also occasionally train Weizhu and Bai Ying. Bai Ying was more daring. If Lin Feng wanted to do something exciting, she would cooperate with Lin Feng. Shi Weizhu was more shy. Each of them had their own personalities and strengths. Of course, the one he trained the most was Lu Mingyan. She was quite interesting. Moreover, she was even more open than Bai Ying when it came to sex. The days passed until Lin Feng received a letter. It was from Xikong Xinyan, the sister of Lin Feng's good friend, Xikong Jiayue. It was addressed to Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly when he read the letter. After giving some instructions on the Supreme Peak, he quickly rushed to the eastern region's ally ancient capital Xikong clan. Lin Feng hadn't seen Xikong Xinyan in 3 or 4 years. The girl from back then had grown into a beautiful woman. She was pure and full of spirit. Even Lin Feng was stunned by her beauty. When she saw Lin Feng arrive, Xikong Xinyan's eyes reddened. Lin Feng asked, "How did your brother go missing? Did he leave behind any special news before he disappeared?" "A year ago, my brother and a dozen friends went to the depths of the Eastern Sea. They said they were looking for some secret treasure. Every once in a while, my brother would send a white paper crane to tell me that he was safe. But half a year ago, there was no news. Big brother Lin Feng, I'm so worried. Did something happen to him?" Tears immediately flowed out of Xikong Xinyan's eyes. Right now, she only had her brother, Xikong Jiayue, to rely on. If something were to happen to Xikong Jiayue, then it would be a huge blow to Xikong Xinyan. Lin Feng said, "Xikong will definitely be fine. I'll go look for him tomorrow." Xikong Xinyan nodded and said, "Big brother Lin Feng, thank you. If it wasn't for you, I really wouldn't know what to do. Xikong is my friend, so this is what I should do. Don't worry. Xikong is a cautious person, so he should be fine." Lin Feng comforted her, and Xikong Xinyan finally stopped crying. After resting for a night in Xikong Xinyan's clan, Lin Feng left for the Eastern Sea the next morning. However, it wasn't easy to find someone's whereabouts in the boundless Eastern Sea. Lin Feng planned to ask Murong Baichuan for information. As the person in charge of the Central Union of Spirit Formation Masters in the 72 prefectures, Murong Baichuan had a lot of connections. Perhaps he would be able to get some useful information from him. As Lin Feng flew towards the Eastern Sea, he couldn't help looking at the fog-shrouded world on the shores of the Eastern Sea. The legendary Mount Huagua was there, and the story of the sacred battle apes was still being told in this vast land. Everything about Mount Huagua was a mystery. Was there really a Mount Huagua? What was inside that fog-shrouded world? Even at his current cultivation realm, that fog-shrouded world still gave Lin Feng a very dangerous feeling. Lin Feng frowned slightly, but he didn't stop and quickly flew towards the Eastern Sea. Late at night on the shores of the Eastern Sea in the depths of the fog-shrouded world, a golden spirit ape slipped out of that mysterious world. Chapter 11:77. The East Sea was as lively as ever. Countless cultivators would gather at the outer seas because there were too many resources in the outer seas. Moreover, The population of the outer seas was much smaller than the population of the inner seas. There were also more opportunities to obtain fortuitous opportunities in the outer seas. On the way to the first gathering area of the East Sea, Lin Feng would occasionally see huge ships sailing toward the deep sea world. Most of them were cultivators who had entered the East Sea in search of fortuitous opportunities. There were also some emissaries sent by the royal families of the secular dynasties who had gone to the Immortal Island to seek immortal medicine. The East Sea world was still very unsafe. Pirates were rampant. This was the age of great voyages, especially in the vast seas. The dream of countless cultivators was to become a powerful pirate. It had almost become a very special profession. Half a month later, Lin Feng arrived at the first gathering area of the East Sea. When he arrived, he heard the sound of heavenly music coming from afar. A huge group of people was flying over from afar. In the middle of the group was a carriage pulled by 9 Pegasus horses. Around the carriage were hundreds of guards. These bodyguards were all vigorous men. The leader of the group was riding a strange beast that looked as ferocious as a tautai. The arrival of this group attracted the attention of countless people. Lin Feng landed on the ground and looked at a middle-aged cultivator beside him. He asked, "Uncle, who are those people? Why is there such a large group?" "That's Madame Chi's carriage." The middle-aged cultivator revealed a meaningful expression. Lin Feng was rather confused by this expression. Why did he feel that this middle-aged cultivator's expression was somewhat sinister? He asked, "Who is Madame Chi?" The middle-aged cultivator replied, "You don't even know Madame Chi?" Lin Feng replied, "This is my second time coming to the East Sea world, so I'm not too familiar with it." "No wonder." The middle-aged cultivator nodded and said, "Madame Chi is the owner of Desire Island. Desire Island is located at the border between the East Sea and South Sea. Desire Island is very mysterious, and just like Madame Chi, it's filled with countless mysteries. Madame Chi's beauty is unparalleled in the world, and countless people are willing to do anything for her just to get close to her. Madame Chi is also very good at using her beauty, and who knows how many men have fallen for her. Little brother, you're young, handsome, and strong, so you should go and meet Madame Chi. Madame Chi loves to play with young heroes like you the most. I heard that she's very good at serving men, and I guarantee that you'll be able to fly into the clouds and enjoy the most extreme happiness." Lin Feng was speechless when he saw the middle-aged cultivator. That middle-aged cultivator looked righteous, but surprisingly, he was such a scoundrel. You really couldn't judge a book by its cover, just like how the sea couldn't be measured with a pint pot. However, Lin Feng was able to obtain the answer he wanted from the middle-aged cultivator. To put it simply, Madame Chi was a slut. However, she was different from an ordinary slut. Ordinary sluts simply like to have sex with different men to satisfy their body's needs. As for Madame Chi, she was not someone you could taste and enjoy as you wished. Madame Chi had strict requirements for the men who wanted to enjoy her, such as cultivation, identity, appearance, ability, and so on. Therefore, people who could get close to her were not simple. Asterisk boom. Asterisk at this time. A violent fluctuation suddenly came from the distance. The 2 cultivators stood together. One of them was wearing a black robe and had a cold face. The other was wearing chainmail and had a tall and sturdy figure. Yang Buping, Hua Qianlai. Many people cried out in alarm. These 2 were not simple and were experts from the top forces of the East Sea world. The division of forces in the East Sea world was rather special. The 3 saints and 4 islands were the forces on the surface, but the East Sea was so vast that there were still some hidden forces. For example, the legend of the East Sea Dragon Palace had always existed, but no one had seen the East Sea Dragon Palace, so they could not confirm whether it really existed. Other than the East Sea Dragon Palace, there were also some legendary forces, such as the East Sea Immortal Island, the Flying Immortal Sect, and so on. However, no one had seen these forces before. Perhaps they really did exist, but even if they did, it was very likely that they were in the deepest part of the East Sea. The deepest part of the East Sea was too dangerous, so basically no cultivators entered that part of the sea. However, most of the cultivators who entered that part of the sea had died. The 2 people fighting now, Yang Buping came from the Penglai Immortal Island of the 3 Immortals and 4 Islands, and Hua Qianlai came from the raging flame island of the 3 immortals and 4 islands. Obviously, Yang Buping was a cultivator from a human force, and Hua Qianlai was a cultivator from a demon force. The demon forces in the East Sea world were very powerful and had a pivotal position in the East Sea world. They usually lived in harmony with the human cultivators, and there would not be a large-scale war between the human and demon forces like in the South Continent. Seeing the 2 people fighting in the void, Lin Feng turned his head to look at the middle-aged cultivator and asked, "What's the conflict between these 2 people? They're attacking with the intention of taking each other's lives." The middle-aged cultivator said, "Recently, they've been wanting to have a taste of that slut, Madam Qi. Now, it's obvious that they want to determine a winner. The winner will be able to do it with Madam Qi." This Madam Qi is really... Lin Feng couldn't help but shake his head slightly. The women of the Tianwu continent were very conservative, and they valued their chastity. Many women said that they would be faithful to one man until death. Therefore, when had he ever seen a slut like Madam Qi? For a moment, he was speechless. Heavenly lightning descended. Yang Buping shouted coldly and used a secret technique. Lightning flashed in the void. Bolts of lightning smashed towards Hua Qianlai. Raging flames burning the heavens. Hua Qianlai was not a simple person. He had condensed a divine flame, and the flames burned fiercely, burning the world. Bang! The 2 people's attacks collided. Hua Qianlai had the upper hand. He took a step forward, and his body blocked the 3 bolts of lightning. Then, he swept up an endless amount of raging flames and rushed forward. Raging flames destroying the world. The raging flames bombarded Yang Buping's body, directly blasting Yang Buping away. Wah! Yang Buping was heavily injured, and his body fell down. "Haha, Madam Qi, can I get intimate with you now?" Hua Qianlai walked towards Madam Qi's carriage. A seductive voice came from the carriage. "Come quickly, I can't wait any longer." What a slut! Many cultivators muttered. They couldn't wait to replace Hua Qianlai and fight Madam Qi for 300 rounds. "I'm coming." Hua Qianlai rushed towards the carriage, burning with impatience. Many people saw Hua Qianlai's towering figure and secretly wondered if Madam Qi would be half dead because of him. Chapter 1178. Lin Feng didn't stop. He went straight to the Central Union of Great Talismans. He was the Great Elder of the Central Union of Great Talismans. He had a lot of power and could use the resources of the Central Union of Great Talismans. With the Central Union of Great Talismans, it would be much easier to find Xikong Jiayue. When Lin Feng arrived at the Central Union of Great Talismans, he met someone who surprised him. It was Jin Shengfei, a descendant of Tianpong King. When Lin Feng saw him, he couldn't help but frown. Lin Feng didn't have a good impression of Jin Shengfei. He had met Jin Shengfei once in the territory of the Yao clan. He had also heard Jin Shengyuan talk about Tianpong King and Tianpong King. The great Pong King was humiliated when he tried to become a disciple of a master. He was even slandered by the people of the divine Peng Island for not knowing how to respect his elders. The great Pong King was chased out of the divine Peng Island, and for many years after that, the great Pong King carried the name of not knowing how to respect his elders. The real reason was that Tianpong King had been jealous of Tianpong King's talent. Tianpong King had kicked Tianpong King out and then blamed Tianpong King for not knowing how to respect his elders. This Jin Shengfei had always had a lofty expression on his face. He had mocked Jin Shengyuan for what happened in the past, causing Jin Shengyuan to feel extremely embarrassed. This Jin Shengfei was merely a junior, yet he dared to mock the great Rock King behind his back. If one were to say that Jin Shengfei had no sense of propriety, then Jin Shengfei was the one who had no sense of propriety. Isn't this Brother Lin? I heard that Brother Lin had a brilliant performance in the Battle of the Geniuses. Congratulations. Jin Shengfei smiled and bowed hand over fist. This person was a typical smiling tiger. It was unknown how much sincerity there was in his congratulatory words. Lin Feng said indifferently, "There are many geniuses in the world. Even though I'm talented, I'm not as strong as many of them. Brother Jin, please don't flatter me." Lin Feng didn't mind pretending to be polite to Jin Shengfei. He wanted to see what Jin Shengfei wanted to do. "Brother Lin, you're too modest. With your talent, You'll catch up to me sooner or later. Jin Shengfei said with a fake smile. After pausing for a moment, Jin Shengfei continued, There will be a gathering tomorrow night, and many people will be there. Brother Lin, do you have time to join us? Lin Feng nodded. Since Brother Jin has invited me, how can I refuse? Haha, see you tomorrow, Jin Shengfei said with a smile. The two of them then took their leave. Jin Shengfei and a group of people walked out of the Spiritual Array Caster Guild, while Lin Feng entered the Spiritual Array Caster Guild. When the two of them turned their heads, they sneered. It was naturally impossible for Lin Feng and Jin Shengfei to become friends. Both of them were feigning civility because they each had their own goals. Young Master, Lin Feng has appeared in the East Sea. This is our territory. I've heard that he has many magical treasures and powerful divine abilities. He even obtained the legacy of a heavenly master. Why don't we? A guard next to Jin Shengfei made a throat-slitting gesture. Jin Shengfei smiled. When the sandpiper and the clam fight, the fisherman benefits. There are many people who want to kill him and steal his treasures. It won't be too late for us to make a move when they fight to the death. Young Master, you're so wise. The group of guards immediately started flattering Jin Shengfei. The Divine Rock Island of the Three Saints and Four Islands is located in the East Sea. It's a powerful force. It seems that Jin Shengfei doesn't have good intentions towards me. He's a descendant of the Heavenly Rock King. But if he really dares to provoke me, I won't mind killing him. Lin Feng sneered. The only person he was afraid of now was the Heavenly Rock King. That person was a powerful existence. The bloodline of the golden-winged rock clan flowed in his veins. His cultivation was bound to be shocking. Lin Feng met Morong Baichuan at the Spiritual Array Caster Guild. When he saw Lin Feng, Morong Baichuan was very happy. He smiled and said, I have something to discuss with you. I didn't expect you to come to the East Sea. Lin Feng asked, What is it? The four ancestors want to see you. They hope that you can go to the Temple of Spiritual Array Casters in the Central Continent. It's a good opportunity. If you go there, you'll definitely obtain some unexpected benefits. Morong Baichuan smiled. Obviously, the four saint-ranked Spiritual Array Casters wanted to rope him in. Lin Feng was very clear about this. When Morong Baichuan mentioned unexpected benefits, Lin Feng was a bit vague, but he knew that it would be extremely shocking. Going to see the four saint-ranked Spiritual Array Casters is a good idea. We'll meet sooner or later, but it'll take some time. Lin Feng said. Morong Baichuan asked, Why have you come to the East Sea? Lin Feng replied, Something happened to Xikong Jiayue. There hasn't been any news from him for half a year. Xikong Xinyan was very worried and told me about it. I came to the East Sea to look for Xikong Jiayue. Something happened to Jiayue? Morong Baichuan's expression became serious. He was friends with Xikong Jiayue's grandfather who had passed away, so he was quite concerned about Xikong Jiu. Xinyan said that he went to the depths of the East Sea with a dozen or so friends. We don't know what exactly they're going to do. Let's go find Xikong Jiayue, Lin Feng said. I'll ask Wang Changming to investigate. You can rest in the guild for a few days. I'm sure you'll get some news soon, Morong Baichuan said. Lin Feng nodded. At night, Jiang Chao came to the Guild of Spiritual Array Casters. He must have heard about Lin Feng's arrival, so he came to visit Lin Feng. The eldest miss has invited us. The carriage has already been prepared for Lin Gongzi, Jiang Chao said. Jiang Chao smiled. Jiang Yudi was now in charge of all the auction houses in the Jiang clan's 72 prefectures. The headquarters of the auction house was located in the first district of the East Sea. Lin Feng and Jiang Chao went to the headquarters of the auction house to see Jiang Yudi. Jiang Yudi was as beautiful, noble, and elegant as ever. When she saw Lin Feng, she smiled and said, Why are you here in the East Sea? Lin Feng told her about Xikong Jiayue. Jiang Yudi said, Do you want me to send someone to ask around? Lin Feng said, The vice president of the Guild of Spiritual Array Casters, Wang Changming, is in charge of this matter. I'm sure he'll get some news soon. Okay. Jiang Yudi nodded. Jiang Yudi paused for a moment before continuing. You have to be careful during this time. I heard that many people are looking for you. Di Shangtian, Ning Litao, Gongsun Wuxiu, and the others? Lin Feng asked. Jiang Yudi nodded and said, Also, The young geniuses of the three-headed Cobra clan and the sky-devouring demonic Toad clan are not to be underestimated. I'm not afraid of them, Lin Feng said. Of course you're not afraid of any of them, but what if they join forces to deal with you? Zhang Yudi asked. Lin Feng was slightly taken aback, but then he nodded. That wasn't an impossible situation. That night, Ning Hanzhuang also arrived at the first district of the East Sea. She was accompanied by dozens of top-notch assassins from the 9 underworlds. This time, the East Sea will become Lin Feng's burial ground. The leader of the assassins carried a cold sword on his back, and his voice was hoarse and unpleasant to the ears. Chapter 1179. Not everyone was qualified to attend the gathering in the number 1 cultivator residence. There were strict requirements for one's cultivation level, identity, and so on. Lin Feng didn't belong to the same social circle, so it wasn't easy for him to join other people's social circles. That evening, Lin Feng went to Wang Hai restaurant. When he arrived, there was already a huge crowd. Lin Feng was surprised. How could there be so many people here? It was inconceivable. Lin Feng asked a few questions and found out the reason. It turned out that there were going to be a few famous beauties from the overseas world attending this gathering. Zhang Yudi was the young miss of the Zhang family. Her status was unattainable. She had a noble temperament and a beautiful face. She was regarded as a goddess by countless people. There were also a few other beauties. The first one was called the Forgotten Love Fairy, Su Yibing. She was the saintess of the Heartless Island. The second one was called the Lingyu Fairy, Miao Yuling. She was the saintess of the Four Seasons sect. The Four Seasons sect was a power in the South Sea. The third one was called the Raging Flame Fairy, Hualai. She was the princess of the Endless Fire Nation in the Netherworld Sea. These 3 women were even more famous than Zhang Yudi in the sea region. Zhang Yudi had always lived in the inner continent. She had only been in the East Sea for a few years. Su Yibing, Miao Yuling, and Hualai had lived in the sea since they were young. The North, South, East, West, and North Seas of the Tianwu continent, as well as the Netherworld Sea and the Endless Sea, were all closely connected. Because the world of the sea was in the age of navigation, all kinds of news spread quickly. In the age of navigation, the things that countless cultivators cared about the most were wealth and women. Beauties like Su Yibing, Miao Yuling, and Hualai naturally attracted a lot of attention. Rumble. A flood dragon pulled a carriage over. Someone recognized the origin of the divine carriage. It was the Jiang family's divine carriage. Zhang Yudi walked out and entered the Ocean View restaurant under the shocked gazes of countless cultivators. As expected of the young miss of the Jiang family, her temperament is noble and elegant. Her every movement makes people feel her noble temperament. His aura is indeed outstanding, but because of that, he makes people feel ashamed of themselves. In front of Zhang Yudi, I feel a deep sense of inferiority. That's why I prefer women like Su Yibing. Although she's cold, she can arouse a man's desire to conquer her. Zhang Yudi said, I like Miao Yuling. She looks like she's made of water. She's as gentle as water. If I can get her, I'll have no regrets. I like Hualai. She's passionate and bold. That's the kind of woman I like. Many cultivators were talking about the beauties, and their eyes were shining. Experts continued to arrive and enter the ocean gazing tower. Su Yibing, Miao Lingyu, and Hualai also arrived one after another. These 3 women were indeed beautiful and alluring. Every single one of them could be said to be a peerless beauty in the world. It was no wonder that they could become the goddesses in the hearts of countless people. Of course, the 3 women's temperaments were completely different. Su Yibing was wearing a long white dress. She was as cold as a fairy from the Moon Palace. She had an unapproachable expression on her face. Miao Yuling was wearing a long purple dress. She had an elegant and gentle temperament. Her temperament was as gentle as water. Hualai was wearing a long red dress. Her lips were as red as flames, and she looked like a hot rose. She looked very passionate and unrestrained. Lin Feng had always felt that beautiful women were masterpieces of the heavens. They were like the most perfect works of art. If they were all the same, they would naturally be boring. Only with different personalities could they bring out a lively life, such as Su Yibing, Miao Yuling, and Hualaier. One was as cold as the moon, one was as gentle as water, and one was as passionate as fire. There were many cultivators who liked each of these personalities. These three beauties had many bodyguards by their side. To be able to act as their bodyguards, those cultivators' identities were not simple. Some of them were even Supreme Being Heaven's chosen. For example, Lin Feng saw Shui Zongxian next to Su Yibing. He was a chosen from the heaven-devouring demonic toad clan. The three beauties didn't stop outside. They quickly entered the ocean-gazing tower. In the distance, a flying horse pulled a carriage. "Isn't that Madame Chi's carriage?" Many people exclaimed. They didn't expect Madame Chi to come. The flying horse carriage stopped in the void. Madame Chi walked out of it. This was the first time Lin Feng saw Madame Chi's appearance. He was slightly stunned. Madame Chi was very tall. She was a classic beauty with long legs and a slim waist. Her entire body was curvaceous. This kind of figure was very lethal to men. Moreover, Madame Chi had a beautiful and pure face. It was hard to believe that Madame Chi, a slut who dared to have sex with someone in a carriage in broad daylight, actually looked so pure and charming. In addition to being pure and charming, Madame Chi also looked very young. She was about 23 or 24 years old. It was said that Madame Chi had cultivated for 500 years. Compared to the long lifespan of cultivators, 500 years was naturally a very short time. Therefore, cultivators aged very slowly. For cultivators with a lifespan of 10,000 years, even if they lived for 3,000 or 4,000 years, they would still look like mortals in their 20s or 30s. Madame Chi's arrival caused quite a stir. This woman was very good at showing off her charming parts. She wore a pink gauze dress that completely revealed her perfect figure. What made people want to vomit blood was that Madame Chi wasn't wearing anything except for that translucent gauze dress. Her key parts were faintly discernible. This slut is really too slutty. Many male cultivators were already swallowing their saliva. They wanted nothing more than to press Madame Chi on the ground and enjoy her. Madame Chi swayed her slender waist as she walked into the ocean-gazing tower. "I'm willing to die if I can go to Mount Wu with Madame Chi." Many cultivators were discussing in low voices. They couldn't forget Madame Chi. For many cultivators, Jiang Yudi, Su Yibing, Miao Lingyu, and Hualaier were four beauties who could only be seen from afar. There was no chance for them to get close. However, a slut like Madame Chi might have a chance to get close to her. Many people were even thinking about finding a chance to seduce Madame Chi. Who knew? They might be able to enjoy Madame Chi's body. Lin Feng walked towards the ocean-gazing tower. At that moment, more than 10 cultivators flew over from afar and landed. The cultivator in the lead was the supreme genius of the three-headed cobra clan, Yao Xiaolong. When the evil dragon saw Lin Feng, he looked at Lin Feng icily. P.S. I stayed up late to watch the match between Real Madrid and Bayern last night. I'm a bit tired, so I'm a bit late. This is the third update, and there are still 4 more. Chapter 1180. The three-headed Cobra clan and the sky-devouring demonic Toad clan were the two major forces that had been pushing for the removal of the Demon Emperor's holy embryo from Little Moon's body. They completely disregarded the kindness that the Taiching Emperor had shown them. It could be said that they had wild ambitions. They even accused Lin Feng of being a spy. The reason was simple. How could Lin Feng save the little princess from the ambush of the sect and 3 palaces alone? Of course, these high-sounding excuses were only the reason they wanted to kill Lin Feng. They wanted to kill Lin Feng because the 2 clans were eyeing Lin Feng's treasures. Lin Feng was alone. Even if they killed Lin Feng and took his treasures, they wouldn't go against the three-headed Cobra clan and the heaven-devouring demonic Toad clan for a human cultivator. But the members of the three-headed Cobra clan and the celestial swallowing demon Toad clan hadn't thought Lin Feng would be so strong. Not only had they failed to kill Lin Feng, but Lin Feng had crippled some of their geniuses. Shui Zongxian and Yao Xiaolong went to the animal clan's territory. When Lin Feng and the others had gone to help, they had attacked Lin Feng by surprise, but they had failed. Lin Feng was on guard against them, so he managed to escape. Clearly, Lin Feng and the three-headed Cobra clan and the heaven-devouring demonic Toad clan were mortal enemies. Yao Xiaolong's expression turned ugly when he saw Lin Feng. I didn't expect you to come to the East Sea. Are you here to die? Yao Xialong looked at Lin Feng coldly. He knew Lin Feng's talent was heaven-defying, but talent wasn't the same as strength. Lin Feng was younger, so he was weaker in terms of cultivation level. Therefore, Yao Xialong was confident that he could kill Lin Feng. Said Lin Feng indifferently. You think you can defeat me? How dare you talk to me like that? I remember your name is Evil Dragon, right? You're obviously a snake, yet you insist on sticking gold on your face and calling yourself a dragon. How can your skin be so thick? I've seen shameless people before, but I've never seen someone as shameless as you. I truly admire you. Many onlookers stared at Lin Feng and the evil dragon in shock. Many people had already recognized Yao Xialong. He was the supreme genius of the three-headed Cobra clan. No one dared to provoke him. But who was Lin Feng? No one knew. Everybody was astonished when they saw that Lin Feng dared make fun of the evil dragon in such a brazen way. In their opinion, those who dared to do such a thing were either tired of living and seeking death. Either that, or they had enough capital to not fear the evil dragon. Many people muttered to themselves, could it be that the cultivator who was fighting the evil dragon was also a supreme genius? Suddenly, a young cultivator among the crowd said, that person is Lin Feng. Lin Feng? Which Lin Feng? Someone asked curiously. It's that Lin Feng who's been the talk of the town lately. He trampled on heavenly god Morong during the Battle of Geniuses. He's the new supreme genius with heaven-defying talent. I saw him climb the 99 stair steps in the Battle of Geniuses, so I can't be mistaken. The young cultivator said. Many people cried out in shock. They had heard of Lin Feng's name long ago, but they had never seen him in person. Now that they saw Lin Feng, who was so young, surpass heavenly god Morong in terms of talent, they were all shocked. Yao Xialong's eyes flashed with killing intent. He said coldly, if you want to die, I don't mind killing you right now. You think I'm afraid of you? I want to make snake soup, but I'm lacking good snake meat. I'll have all the ingredients if I kill you, replied Lin Feng while smiling coldly. His battle energy dashed to the skies. He wasn't scared at all. Just as the two of them were about to fight, a beam of light flew over from the distance and landed on the ground. It was a very handsome man with black hair draped over his shoulders. His eyes were like stars in the sky. His name was Xinyuan Wu. His identity wasn't simple. His uncle was the current lord of the Martial Spirit Palace, Xinyuan Jishu. The Martial Spirit Palace was a force that oversaw the whole world. Its strength was unimaginable. Moreover, the Martial Spirit Palace could communicate with the undying world. This was the most terrifying part of it, which made countless forces fear it. Xinyuan Jishu didn't have any children, so he had always treated Xinyuan Wu as his son. Xinyuan Wu had always been the center of attention since he was a child. He was modest and had astonishing talent, but he wasn't ostentatious. He had a high prestige among the younger generation. Gentlemen, can you give me some face? Let's make peace today, all right? Said Xinyuan Wu. Xinyuan Wu? Lin Feng was surprised. He had heard of that name before. It was like a thunderclap in his ears. Yuji had said that even though Xinyuan Wu kept a low profile, there were only 3 people in the younger generation who could defeat him. Yuji had a very high opinion of Xinyuan Wu. Lin Feng hadn't thought that he would meet the famous Xinyuan Wu there. Since brother Xinyuan is here, of course we have to give him face. Today, we'll spare his life for brother Xuanyuan's sake, said Yao Xialong casually. It was no wonder that Yao Xialong didn't put Lin Feng in his eyes. 10 years ago, Yao Nefarious Dragon was already a supreme genius. 10 years later, he was many times stronger than he was 10 years ago. Even though Lin Feng was extremely talented, talent wasn't the same as strength. No matter how talented Lin Feng was, if he hadn't practiced cultivation for a long time, it would be difficult for him to become stronger. Yao Xialong was 10 years older than Lin Feng. He had practiced cultivation for 10 more years. That was why Yao Xialong was so confident. Chapter 1181. In the private room, Lin Feng could see everyone's expressions. As for Madame Qi's flirtatious gaze, Lin Feng acted as if he didn't see it. He and Xinyuan Wu found a place to sit. Lin Feng was the closest to Jiang Yudi, so he sat next to her. These gatherings weren't just for socializing. Most of the time, there would be a small trade fair. This was why so many people liked to attend these gatherings. Everyone who attended these gatherings was either a top-tier genius or a powerful expert. They would definitely have treasures they couldn't use. At times like these, many people would take out their treasures to trade for treasures they could use. It was a mutually beneficial exchange. Jin Xingfei smiled and said, "It's fate that we're all gathered here today. Why don't we all raise our cups and drink?" Everyone nodded and raised their cups, downing the wine in their cups. Jin Shengfei looked at Lin Feng and said with a fake smile, "I've heard that Brother Lin has not only grasped a few of the 3,000 great Daos, but you've also obtained the legacy of a heavenly master. How enviable. I wonder if Brother Lin can show us the might of a few of the 3,000 great Daos and the legacy of a heavenly master?" Jin Xingfei was obviously harboring malicious intentions. He was indirectly reminding everyone what kind of legacy Lin Feng had. Obviously, he hoped that everyone would become greedy and attack Lin Feng. It would be best if both sides ended up heavily injured. Then, he would be able to reap the benefits. Jin Shengfei was a smiling tiger. Lin Feng more or less understood Jin Xingfei's personality. Thus, Lin Feng felt disdain for Jin Shengfei. Lin Feng said indifferently, "I don't cultivate divine abilities for the sake of performing. I cultivate them for the sake of killing. Brother Jin, if you're bored, you can come out and perform for us. Perhaps you'll be able to make everyone laugh." Jin Xingfei said, "Brother Lin, you might have misunderstood my meaning. What I meant was that we should all compare our divine abilities." "That's what I meant as well. Brother Jin, there's no need to explain it so deliberately. I'm sure everyone here knows what I mean." Instead, Brother Jin's explanation sounds like a petty person envious of a gentleman's heart. "Brother Lin, are you calling me a despicable person?" Jin Shengfei's face darkened. Lin Feng replied, "Brother Jin, please don't misunderstand. I didn't mean that. I was just making an example." Jin Shengfei felt a chill in his heart, but he was a patient person. He let out a strange laugh and didn't say anything else. The others could naturally see the sarcasm in the words between Lin Feng and Jin Shengfei. They knew that the two of them had some grudges. However, which one of the people present wasn't a meticulous person? Therefore, they remained calm and collected. Ha 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 ha. At this time, Madame Chi suddenly laughed charmingly. Purely from the perspective of appreciation, Madame Chi could indeed be called a stunner, attracting the attention of many people. However, Madame Chi's reputation was too bad, and it made people feel that she didn't have any self-respect. Of course, some of the cultivators present had strange expressions when they looked at Madame Chi. After all, they weren't going to take her home as a wife, so there was naturally more than one person who wanted to take a stunner like Madame Chi to bed and enjoy. However, Madame Chi's gaze was fixed on Lin Feng, as if she was only interested in Lin Feng. She smiled charmingly and said, "When Lin Gongzi killed the primordial Ning clan's leader, the 72 prefectures in the north and the overseas worlds were abuzz. I've been looking forward to it for a long time. Now that I've seen you, young master, you're indeed as extraordinary as the rumors say. I'd like to propose a toast to young master. Will young master do me the honor?" When they saw Madame Chi's lustful expression, many people knew that she was most likely aroused again. She wanted to seduce Lin Feng. It was said that there were tens of thousands of men who had slept with Madame Chi. Madame Chi was able to seduce any man she wanted. Many people were envious of Lin Feng's good luck to be able to enjoy a stunner like Madame Chi. Lin Feng's expression didn't change. He smiled and said, "You're too polite, madam. I'll drink directly. Do as you please." When Madame Chi clinked her cup with Lin Feng's, her finger gently tickled Lin Feng's palm. Her watery eyes stared at Lin Feng as she licked her red lips. She was extremely seductive and flirtatious. A seduction technique? Lin Feng's expression changed. Madame Chi wanted to use a seduction technique to bewitch him, but Lin Feng remained unmoved. He had mastered the 3,000 Great Dao techniques, so no seduction technique could affect him. Lin Feng raised his cup and downed the wine in one gulp. Madame Chi revealed a trace of surprise, but she quickly concealed it. She also drank the cup in one gulp. Madame Chi then smiled and said, "Today, we really hit it off at first sight. If young master has time, please come to this servant's residence." This servant has some good tea, and I hope young master can come and try it. Many people looked at Lin Feng enviously, because Madame Qi was obviously inviting Lin Feng. How was this tasting tea? She obviously wanted to enjoy the pleasure of having sex with Lin Feng, said Lin Feng. Unfortunately, I have to leave to deal with an urgent matter. It seems like I have to disappoint you. Next time, I'll invite you to my tea house to drink some tea. I'll apologize to you, said Lin Feng. Many people muttered. Lin Feng had actually rejected a stunner like Madame Qi. He had even rejected a woman who offered herself to him. He really didn't understand the situation. Madame Qi's expression didn't change at all. She smiled and said, "Then it's settled. I'll wait for Lin Gongzi's invitation." As soon as she finished speaking, Madame Qi swayed her slender waist and returned to her seat. At the gathering, people who were familiar with each other toasted each other and chatted in low voices. More than 10 dancers were dancing, and more than 10 musicians were accompanying them. 2 singers were singing softly. Lin Feng wasn't familiar with the others, so he had been talking to Jiang Yudi and Xin Yuanwu the entire time. When the gathering was coming to an end, a cultivator named Wang Yuan said, "Everyone, the gathering is almost over. Let's start the trade." No one had any objections, so they dismissed the dancers, musicians, and singers. Wang Yuan continued, "Since I'm the one who started it, I might as well be the first to take out something that I want to trade." The others nodded and looked at Wang Yuan, curious as to what treasure he would take out. "I have a divine tear pill," Wang Yuan said. A divine tear pill? Many people couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Lin Feng was also very surprised. The value of a divine tear pill was too shocking. His gaze was fixed on Wang Yuan. It was obvious that Lin Feng was interested in Wang Yuan's divine tear pill, just like everyone else. Swish! Wang Yuan took out a porcelain bottle. Roar! A roar came from the bottle, and a light surged out of it. The bottle became transparent, and a ferocious beast that looked like a Taoyue's roar shook the heavens. Chapter 1183. This kind of medicinal pill was able to display such a shocking phenomenon. It was truly too extraordinary, causing people to be shocked and emotionally moved. Sure enough, it was worthy of being called a deity-level Dan. Everyone's eyes were fixed on that Dan. Now, many people were very interested in this deity-level Dan. "What kind of pill is that?" asked a cultivator. Wang Yuan said, "It's a Taodai pill. It's concocted with the blood of a Taodai. It's a low-tier god-tier pill. After taking it, it can help cultivators condense Taodai scales." Condensed Taodai scales? What does that mean? Many people were puzzled. Wang Yuan said, "Everyone, please take a look." Everyone looked over. The mana in Wang Yuan's body surged. His arm was instantly covered with a layer of dark purple scale armor, covering his arm. The dark purple scales possessed an extremely powerful defensive power. Wang Yuan continued, "Everyone should know that human cultivators are best at comprehending the Tao. Our physical bodies have always been our weakness. Therefore, when we fight against monsters, devils, and ferocious beasts, we are very afraid of close combat because our physical bodies are very weak. However, if we have this Taodai scale armor, our defensive power will greatly increase. At that time, we won't have to be afraid of close combat even when facing monsters and ferocious beasts with powerful physical bodies." As expected of a god-tier pill, many people were astonished. They looked at the god-tier pill with burning eyes. Just as Wang Yuan had said, after taking a Taodai pill and condensing Taodai scales, one's overall combat power would increase greatly. The most valuable treasures in the world were not powerful magical treasures or natural treasures that could help one's cultivation. They were things that could directly increase a cultivator's combat power, such as the god-tier Taodai pill. That kind of treasure made people's hearts pound. There were both human and beast cultivators present. Not only were the human cultivators interested in the god-tier pill, but even Jin Shengfei, Shui Zongxian, Yao Xiaolong, and the others were interested. Their physical bodies were already very strong. If they condensed Taodai scales from the Taodai pill, their physical bodies would become even stronger. "Brother Wang, what do you want?" asked a genius. "I want an ancient book called Star-Scattered Chess," Wang Yuan said. "Star-Scattered Chess game? What is this? Many people were puzzled. Madame Chi smiled. Could it be that the ancestor of the mountain-moving Taoist lineage used the stars in the sky as chess pieces and the boundless starry sky as the chessboard to create the star-scattered chess game? That's right. Wang Yuan nodded. What is the use of this star-scattered chess game? Someone asked doubtfully. Madame Chi said, it's said that the scattered star chessboard contains a myriad of secrets, and it's possible to peek into the secrets of how the Milky Way operates from it. It's possible to learn the most ancient divination techniques from it, and it's possible to comprehend the most powerful primordial divine abilities from it. It's even possible to deduce the trajectory of a person's future from it. Of course, these are all just legends, and I'm not sure if it's really that amazing. However, there's one thing that I'm certain of, and that is that the mountain-moving Taoist lineage has always been mysterious, and the scattered star chessboard is one of the most important inheritances of the mountain-moving Taoist lineage. Lin Feng rubbed his chin. He hadn't thought that the mountain-moving Taoist lineage would be involved. The mountain-moving Taoist lineage was indeed amazing. Lin Feng was familiar with the Wu-Liang Taoist, so he knew a little about the mountain-moving Taoist lineage. I heard that the scattered star chessboard appeared in the East Sea 100 years ago, but there was no more news about it after that. Can anyone take out the scattered star chessboard? Wang Yuan asked. All right, it's a deal. Yao Xiaolong stepped forward and took out a jade tube. He gave it to Wang Yuan and said, the scattered star chessboard isn't in my possession, but this jade tube contains all the information about the scattered star chessboard. Everyone was astonished. Someone had actually taken out something like the scattered star chessboard. 100 years ago, when the scattered star chessboard had appeared, it seemed like the heaven-devouring demonic Toad clan had obtained it. Wang Yuan was delighted. He carefully sensed the scattered star chessboard and found that there was nothing wrong with it. He nodded and said, this god-tier pill is yours, Brother Yao. After the two of them exchanged treasures, Wang Yuan sat in a corner and studied the scattered star chessboard. Yao Xiaolong was also very excited when he obtained the god-tier pill. The trade fair continued, and all kinds of treasures were taken out to be exchanged. Pills, treasures, divine abilities, rare treasures, spirit herbs, and so on. Even Jiang Yudi took out a treasure. It was an invisibility cloak, which could hide one's body completely from the detection of life and death realm experts. It could also hide from the detection of early rebirth realm cultivators, first, second, and third heavens of rebirth realm. If it was a rebirth realm expert with a profound cultivation base, it wouldn't be able to hide from them. Even so, this treasure was already heaven-defying, and it attracted many people to fight over it. Lin Feng looked at the treasures being taken out one after another. There were a few treasures that piqued his interest, but Lin Feng didn't have what the other party needed, so he couldn't complete the trade. This kind of small high-end barter trade fair had quite a lot of limitations. If you took a fancy to someone else's treasure and wanted to get it, you first had to have something that the other party needed before you could carry out the trade. If you didn't have something, you naturally wouldn't be able to complete the trade. You were destined to not be able to get what you wanted. At this time, a female cultivator named Xiao Ling took out a white jade box and said, this treasure of mine is called the God's Law Book. Have you heard of it before? She took out the white jade box, and there was half a piece of paper inside. This piece of paper was filled with small words, and it was obvious that the other half was missing. God's Law Book? Could it be that the God instilled his spirit into it to write these words? Many people were shocked. That's right. That's exactly it. Xiao Ling nodded. Can we take a look? Someone asked. Sure. Xiao Ling let everyone take a look at the other half of the book. It's a pity that it's only half. It's incomplete, someone said regretfully. Every kind of God's Law Book was extraordinary, and the content it recorded was often astonishing. After all, the God wouldn't have spent a huge amount of spirit to write these words for no reason. It must have recorded something important. It was indeed a pity that the other half of the God's Law Book was missing the other half. In the end, the book was passed to Lin Feng. What kind of words are these? They don't seem to be divine characters. Lin Feng was astonished when he saw the distorted words on the book. Chapter 1184. The distorted characters looked like hieroglyphs, not divine script. This was what surprised Lin Feng the most. Normally, when writing a godly spellbook, one would need to use divine script. That was because divine script could perfectly fuse the essence, energy, and spirit of a god with the characters. What do you want to exchange for this godly spellbook? Lin Feng asked. 10 king herbs over 50,000 years old. Xiaoling said. Many people shook their heads. King herbs over 50,000 years old could save lives at critical moments, and they could even extend one's lifespan by 800 years. They were too precious. And Xiaoling didn't want just one, but 10. Using 10 king herbs to exchange for half a godly spellbook. This was a huge risk. Moreover, the text on this God Spirit book was an unknown language. Studying the contents of the God Spirit book wasn't an easy task. Does anyone want to exchange? Xiaoling asked. Yes. Here are 10 king herbs. Lin Feng took out 10 king herbs and gave them to Xiaoling. When he had been training in outer space, he had obtained all the spirit medicines in a medicinal valley. He had a mountain of spirit medicines. He even had quite a few sacred medicines over 100,000 years old, let alone king herbs. 10 king herbs were nothing to Lin Feng, but to others, 10 king herbs was a huge fortune. Many people looked at Lin Feng with a slightly moved expression. Many people had heard that Lin Feng had a powerful inheritance and many treasures. Now that they saw Lin Feng casually take out 10 king herbs to trade with Xiaoling, they believed it. After that, Lin Feng didn't make any more moves. The small trade fair ended, and the banquet dispersed. Everyone left one after another. Lin Feng, Zhang Yudi, and Xinyuan Wu left together. The three of them chatted for a long time, talking about some interesting things they had experienced. Of course, most of the time, they discussed their cultivation experiences. Discussing cultivation with other cultivators of the same level could broaden one's horizons and expand one's thinking. At the same time, they could also solve some of the problems they had encountered. After spending 5 days in the first cultivator district, Lin Feng finally heard some news about Xikong Jiayue. Half a year ago, Xikong Jiayue and some of his companions appeared in the 15th cultivator district, then disappeared without a trace. You don't know where they went? Lin Feng frowned. Wang Chengming said, the 15th cultivator gathering area is a bit special. It's located in the southern part of the Eastern Sea. There's a very special place there called the Deep Sea Devil Cave. There are many treasures there, and many cultivators like to try their luck there. However, the Deep Sea Devil Cave is extremely dangerous. If you're not careful, you can die. Since Xikong Jiayue and the others went there, it should be related to the Deep Sea Devil Cave. If that's the case, I'll go to the 15th cultivators gathering area and have a look. Let's go, Lin Feng said. In the afternoon, he set off for the 15th cultivator district. In reality, Xikong Jiayue had disappeared for more than half a year, and Lin Feng felt that Xikong Jiayue might have already died. He had to search. It might even be a waste of time, but Lin Feng still wanted to confirm it. He didn't stop along the way and quickly flew in the direction of the 15th cultivator district. 10 days later, Lin Feng arrived at a quiet and uninhabited sea. On a lush island, he saw people living there. It seemed to be a village on the sea. There were many such villages on the sea. They occupied a small island and lived in peace and contentment. They relied on fishing for a living. However, they were different from the villages in the inland world. Many of the people in these villages were quite strong. After all, the sea was rich in resources, and these ordinary fishermen could often find many cultivation resources. In addition, it was the age of navigation, and pirates were rampant. Therefore, the villagers in these villages had a strong sense of danger. They also thought of ways to increase their cultivation. First, they would have enough strength to protect the village. Second, if they encountered pirates, they would be able to organize a force to resist them. Some of the stronger villages were even able to defeat large pirate groups. It was clear that these villages were quite powerful. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew. In a distant mountain range, black fog surged out. Crack, crack. One of the mountain peaks on the island began to shake and crack. What's happening? Could it be that the sea god is angry? The residents of the island rushed out and looked at the shaking mountain in the center of the island. Many of them had terrified expressions. The residents of the sea, and even the Oceanids, all believed in the sea god. Many places had temples to the sea god. Now that the mountains were shaking, it was normal for the residents to think that the sea god was angry. Crack. Suddenly, the mountain peak cracked. Haha, I'm free. Li Taixian, you've suppressed me for hundreds of thousands of years. You really deserve to die. However, I'm free now. Once my cultivation recovers, I'll find you and take your life. Within the black fog, a tall and slender man with an appearance so handsome that it was almost demonic appeared. The man was obviously a demon, and his aura was extremely evil. Lowly ants, I'll eat all of you. The demon took a deep breath. Many people were sucked into the air. Then, they were sucked into the demon's stomach. Go to hell. Some of the cultivators on the island saw their loved ones being devoured by the demon, and their eyes turned red. They roared and charged at the demon with weapons in hand. Ant-like thing dares to attack me? The demon sneered. He raised his right hand and killed a dozen people with a single slap. Run! The island was in complete chaos. Many people ran out of the pirate camp in fear and despair. No one can escape. I'll devour all of you. The demon laughed sinisterly. He grabbed with his hand, and a powerful suction force enveloped hundreds of people and flew toward the demon. Cries of fear and despair rang out one after another. Swoosh! At that moment, a sword gleam descended from the sky and slashed toward the terrifying demon. Oh, who dares to attack me so recklessly? The demon sneered. He flicked his finger. With a clang, the saber light was directly shattered. A demon? Lin Feng walked over from afar, frowning slightly. This demon didn't seem to be an earth demon. Could it be a heavenly demon? Brat, your bloodline is too powerful. If I eat you, I'll be able to recover quickly, said the devil in a sinister voice. He licked his pale lips with his scarlet tongue, and his eyes were filled with bloodlust. Chapter 1185. Are you a celestial demon? Or an earth demon? Or some other demon? Lin Feng narrowed his eyes at the demon. I am Second Lieutenant Wanyan, Shao of the Boundless Void. The demon sneered. Celestial demons seem to like invading other planets. Lin Feng said indifferently. Wanyan Shao sneered. Celestial demons are the noblest race in the world. Everything in the world belongs to us. How can you talk about invading? Lin Feng said. You really think highly of yourself. However, I'm afraid that with your current strength, you won't be able to kill me. I'll even kill you. Wanyan Shao might have been powerful in the past, but his current state was far from being comparable to before. His physical body had been destroyed, and only his core was left. Of course, celestial demons were special. It was said that even if their physical bodies were destroyed, they could still form a new one. They weren't like the cultivators of other races. If their physical bodies were destroyed, they could only obtain a new one by taking over someone else's body. If Wanyan Shao was given time, he would definitely be able to gradually recover and form a new body. At that time, another bloody disaster would descend. Lin Feng naturally didn't want to see such a thing happen. The greater one's strength, the greater one's responsibility. If one cultivated only for themselves, they wouldn't be able to go far. Only those who were broad-minded and cared about the people of the world could surpass great emperors and become immortal sovereigns. Lin Feng had gained a new understanding of Tao and human nature after experiencing Emperor Donghua's incident. Moreover, if he could kill Wanyan Shao and refine his core, his cultivation would definitely increase. His cultivation would definitely increase greatly. Wanyan Shao was eyeing Lin Feng's flesh. Lin Feng was also eyeing Wanyan Zhao's core. Wanyan Shao smiled sinisterly. Kid, let's try it out. Let's see who will be the one to kill who. As soon as he finished speaking, the demonic fog started to churn. It covered the sky and covered the sun as it surged forward, wanting to swallow Lin Feng whole. Swish! Suddenly, a large hand reached out from the demonic fog, directly grabbing towards Lin Feng. Suddenly, Lin Feng had a feeling that he could not avoid it. Wanyan Shao was truly powerful. He had been suppressed for hundreds of thousands of years, and his physical body had been destroyed. Only a remnant of his soul and a portion of his source energy remained. Even so, He still possessed such powerful combat strength. If he was at his peak, wouldn't he be able to kill him with a single glance? Just thinking about it gave him a terrifying feeling. Of course, now that Lin Feng's combat strength had soared, he wouldn't just sit there and wait for death. Facing Wang Yanzhao's attack, Lin Feng raised his right hand and struck out. Bang! When the two sides collided, Lin Feng immediately felt as if his body had been hit by an ancient mountain. His qi and blood roiled. His body was sent flying several hundred meters away. You have some ability, but with such a powerful bloodline, it's normal for you to have some strength. Wang Yanzhao rushed over again and flipped his right hand. In the void, a demonic mountain condensed. The demonic mountain was tens of thousands of meters tall. It descended from the sky and suppressed Lin Feng. A huge pressure surged towards him. Feeling the pressure from the demonic mountain, Lin Feng's expression turned solemn. Wang Yanzhao's attack was indeed too powerful, causing him to feel heavy pressure. However, Lin Feng also had many tricks up his sleeve. Facing the demonic attack that was coming towards him, Lin Feng walked in the void. Lowly creature, you have blasphemed the dignity of the Tao of Death. I represent the great Tao of Death to punish you for your heinous crimes. Rumble. As his voice fell, a river of death condensed in the void. That river of death swept across the heavens and earth, shaking all directions. The void trembled. It directly collided with the demonic mountain that was coming down. Both sides collided fiercely, and the river of death and the demonic mountain were both destroyed. Good lad. You have learned all 3,000 Tao. It seems that I need to use some powerful techniques to take your life. Wang Yanzhao's voice was cold. Wang Yanzhao raised both of his hands. An intense fluctuation was emitted from his hands. A huge, destructive ball of light was being condensed into a ball. 3 parts origin technique. Wang Yanzhao shouted coldly. The energy ball in his hands was emitting stronger and stronger waves of energy. Originally, the energy ball was black, but soon, 2 more colors appeared. They were white and green. Together, there were 3 colors. The 3 colors of energy blended together. The power of the energy ball suddenly increased tenfold. What a terrifying attack! Lin Feng was shocked. He could feel the power of the 3 parts origin returning technique, which made his soul tremble. Great calamity technique. Lin Feng did not dare to hesitate. He quickly used the Great Calamity technique. It was a peerless technique that was ranked 9th among the 3,000 Tao. Its power was unfathomable. Bang! The Calamity River collided with Wang Yanzhao's 3 parts origin technique. Lin Feng and Wang Yanzhao were both blown away by the force of the attack. At that moment, Lin Feng used the Celestial Master Pass 8 small worlds. 8 small worlds appeared under his feet, and he rushed towards the center of the energy storm. Lin Feng had to get close to Wang Yanzhao. In terms of spiritual energy, Lin Feng was no match for Wang Yanzhao. Although he was not defeated for the time being, he had to rely on his divine ability. It was only a matter of time before he was defeated. Therefore, to win, he had to rely on his physical body. Wang Yanzhao did not have a physical body. He only had a part of his soul and origin left. The 8 small worlds floated around him, blocking the energy storm. Even so, Lin Feng was still shaken by the energy storm. He vomited 3 mouthfuls of blood. If it was someone else, they would have died. However, he rushed out of the energy storm and arrived in front of Wang Yanzhao in an instant. Wang Yanzhao was slightly shocked. He did not expect Lin Feng to come to his side. At that moment, Lin Feng used his 5 devouring martial spirits. The 5 devouring martial spirits merged into one. The confining magnetic field condensed and enveloped Wang Yanzhao in an instant. Little brat, do you think you can kill me in close combat? You're dreaming. Today, I'll dig out your heart. Wang Yanzhao was indeed terrifying. Although Lin Feng's confining magnetic field had restricted his movements, it could not completely confine Wang Yanzhao. Wang Yanzhao stepped forward and stretched out his right hand towards Lin Feng's chest, as if he really wanted to dig out Lin Feng's heart. Swish! At that moment, a 7-colored light appeared behind Wang Yanzhao. Squeak! Bibi's childish voice was heard. It waved its right paw and slapped towards Wang Yanzhao. Only Lin Feng knew how strong Bibi was. Therefore, he had contacted Bibi and asked Bibi to deal with Wang Yanxiao at the critical moment. Wang Yanxiao sensed the terrifying qi behind him, and his expression changed drastically. He turned around and slapped. Bang! He and Bibi collided. Here's my chance. Lin Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. He used his full strength and used the Supreme Reincarnation Fist. That attack landed on Wang Yanxiao's body. Bang! Wang Yanxiao's body exploded. Chapter 1186. I am an undying existence. Don't even think about destroying my source energy. Wang Yanxiao roared after his body exploded. A human face condensed from energy floated in the air, glaring hatefully at Lin Feng. His source energy twisted as if it was trying to reconstruct his body. This was an ability possessed by heavenly demons. Reconstructing a body wasn't difficult for them. However, Lin Feng didn't give Wang Yanxiao the chance to reconstruct his body. He stepped forward and slapped at Wang Yanxiao's source energy. Bang! When this palm landed on Wang Yanxiao's source, the body that had started to regenerate exploded once again. 8 seals. Great suppression technique. After that, Lin Feng used 2 skills, one to seal and the other to oppress. Numerous runes intertwined. These were the runes condensed from the 8 seals. They sealed Wang Yanxiao's body. Next, the Great Suppression technique condensed into a suppress character and suppressed Wang Yanxiao's source energy. Wang Yanxiao no longer had the strength to resist. The Celestial Master Path's inheritance. You actually know the Celestial Master Path's inheritance, and you've even learned the Great Suppression technique. Wang Yanxiao's voice was filled with fear. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't use it anymore. Wang Yanxiao could sense death approaching. You have a good eye. Lin Feng looked at Wang Yanxiao indifferently. Wang Yanxiao said, we can negotiate. We can make a deal. As long as you let me go, I can teach you an extremely powerful great Tao. Isn't that a good deal? Lin Feng sneered. I can use the great soul-searching technique to obtain your secrets. After saying that, Lin Feng took out the 4 vicious cauldron and temporarily put Wang Yanxiao's source energy away. When the villagers saw that Wang Yanxiao had been suppressed, they heaved a sigh of relief. However, when they thought about their loved ones who had died, many of them couldn't help but cry. In the distance, an old man walked over with the help of 2 middle-aged men. He was about to kneel down and kowtow to Lin Feng to express his gratitude when Lin Feng hurriedly supported him. Elder, you're too courteous, said Lin Feng. Lin Feng said. The old man was the village chief of the island, and he said gratefully, if it weren't for the help of the younger generation, everyone on the island would have died. Lin Feng replied, eradicating demons and defending the Tao is something that we should do. Fortunately, we were able to stop this demon in time, so there were no more casualties. After pausing for a few seconds, Lin Feng said, I wonder why this island is suppressing such a powerful demon. Have you heard of it? In the depths of the island, there's a mountain range called Taishian Palace. It's said that it was left behind by the Wine Sword Celestial, Li Taishian. It's said that when Li Taishian traveled to the East Sea, he once suppressed a demon. I thought it was just a story, but now I know that it's all true. Li Xian's courtesy name was Taishian. His title was Householder Qing Lian, also known as Banished Immortal. He was a great romantic poet and was hailed as the immortal of poetry by later generations. Of course, not only was Li Taishian good at poetry, but he was also very good at swordsmanship. He was known as the Wine Sword Celestial because he loved wine as much as his life. Old man, you can count the injured. I'll go take a look, Lin Feng said. Then, he flew towards the depths of the island. Beside the cracked mountain peak, there was an immortal's cave. This immortal's cave had 3 words written on it, Supreme Mystery Palace. Lin Feng entered the cave. There were faint traces of Taoist rhymes flowing around. Lin Feng guessed that Li Taishian might have cultivated here in the past. It was possible that he had cultivated here before suppressing Wang Yanxiao. It was also possible that he had cultivated here after suppressing Wang Yanxiao. Lin Feng sealed the entrance of the cave so that he wouldn't be disturbed. Then, he took out the 4 vicious cauldron and burned it with heavenly fire. The temperature of the cauldron kept rising. Brat, what are you doing? Wan Yen Xiao roared angrily. I'm going to use your source energy to refine a few source pills. Lin Feng smiled. You want to use me to refine pills? You'll die a horrible death. Wan Yen Xiao cursed bitterly. If cursing was useful, there wouldn't be any battles in this world. Save your energy. Lin Feng smiled coldly. Heavenly fire burned the cauldron. The inscriptions on the cauldron seemed to come to life. Each of the inscriptions released a terrifying amount of energy and poured into Wan Yin Zhao's source energy. It started to decompose Wan Yin Zhao's source energy. Wan Yin Zhao's source energy gradually turned into pure energy. As the source energy was refined, only a part of Wan Yin Zhao's soul was left. Without the source energy, Wan Yin Zhao's soul wasn't a threat at all. Great Soul Searching Technique. Lin Feng immediately used the Great Soul Searching Technique. The Great Soul Searching Technique wasn't a very powerful technique. It was an ancient technique. Lin Feng had found it in a spatial ring. Every time he killed an expert, he would collect their spatial rings. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't know who the spatial ring belonged to. However, using the Great Soul Searching Technique to forcefully search other people's memories was quite effective. You dare search my soul? I curse you. You'll die 10 times more miserably than I did. Wan Yin Xiao roared with hatred, said Lin Feng, smiling coldly. He ignored Wan Yin Zhao's cursing and continued using his soul-searching technique. From Wan Yin Zhao's soul memories, he found endless resentment and evil thoughts. These resentment and evil thoughts were produced after Wan Yin Xiao was suppressed by Li Taixian. It seemed that Wan Yin Xiao had been living in endless hatred for the past 100,000 years. If such a celestial devil was free, it would be hard to imagine how many people he would kill. Wan Yin Zhao's memories were extremely precious. There were very few memories that were useful. After all, this was only Wan Yin Zhao's remnant soul. Many of his memories had already been lost. Oh, I found it. The Great Transformation Technique. So this is one of the 3,000 grandas that Wan Yin Xiao grasped. Lin Feng was shocked. The Great Transformation Technique was one of the 3,000 auxiliary grandas. It was rumored that celestial devils could transform into anyone. Back then, when the Sky Martial Continent had fought against the invading celestial devils, they had suffered greatly because of it. The celestial devils had transformed into humans and killed many experts of the Sky Martial Continent. The reason was that the celestial devils had grasped the Great Transformation Technique. The most powerful part of the Great Transformation Technique was that it could change one's aura. The Sky Martial Continent also had many transformation techniques. Although they could change one's appearance, they couldn't change one's aura. Therefore, it was very easy to be recognized. However, the Great Transformation Technique didn't just change one's appearance. It could also completely change one's aura. Unless the other party had a treasure that could distinguish the real from the fake, or their cultivation base was much higher than the cultivator using the Great Transformation Technique, it would be very difficult to find any clues. For example, Lin Feng. If one successfully cultivated the Great Transformation Technique, in order to discover his true identity, one would have to use some magic treasures to verify Lin Feng's true identity. However, this kind of magic treasure was obviously extremely rare. If one wanted to obtain it, it wouldn't be an easy task. Either one's cultivation base exceeded Lin Feng's by more than 10 realms. Otherwise, wanting to discover who Lin Feng's true body was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Lin Feng's mouth revealed a trace of a smile. Amazing. Truly amazing. If I were to cultivate this Great Transformation Technique, I would be able to change my appearance in the future. If I want to hide my identity, it would be too easy. Chapter 1187. Obtaining the cultivation method of the Great Transformation Art made Lin Feng very happy. Then, he directly erased Wan Yin Zhao's remnant soul. Swish, Lin Feng threw one spirit herb after another into the 4 vicious cauldrons to refine. The origin pill Lin Feng wanted to refine was a peak heaven rank pill. Previously, his cultivation base was low, and his soul power hadn't increased, so he couldn't refine it. But now, Lin Feng's cultivation base had increased, and his soul power had also reached the 8th layer of life and death realm. Lin Feng felt that he should have reached the peak of heaven rank. Now, Refining the origin pill shouldn't be a problem. Several hundred spirit herbs were thrown into the cauldrons, including 32 10,000-year-old spirit herbs, two 50,000-year-old spirit herbs, and one 70,000-year-old spirit herb. As time passed, the four vicious cauldrons emitted waves of pill fragrance. Yeah, yeah. Bibi jumped out of the beast slave pouch, jumping and jumping. She blinked her big eyes at the four vicious cauldrons, and occasionally turned her head to look at Lin Feng. She had a very eager expression, looking extremely cute. Whitey also quickly ran out and squeaked. The two little things were clearly very interested in the origin pill. They were originally two little foodies, and the origin pill had so many precious spirit herbs mixed in. Naturally, the two little guys were full of interest. Refining a high-grade pill like the origin pill wasn't easy. Lin Feng spent 3 whole days to refine the origin pill. A cauldron of origin pills had a total of 12 pills. Bei Bei and the dragon rabbit had been impatient for a long time. After the refinement, Lin Feng gave the two little guys one each. The two little guys ate the origin pill. Then, the medicinal energy of the origin pill began to spread, and the two little guys became drowsy. Bibi and Dragon Rabbit were still young, so they chose to sleep to digest the origin pill. Lin Feng put the two little guys back into the beast slave bag and gave the dark green mantis scorpion king an origin pill. The dark green mantis scorpion king knew how precious this origin pill was. He originally thought that he wouldn't have a share, but he didn't expect that Lin Feng would actually give him one. He immediately thanked him profusely, and after expressing his sincerity, he fell silent and began to refine the medicinal efficacy of the origin pill. Lin Feng also sat down cross-legged and swallowed an origin pill. Time slowly passed. After taking a total of 7 origin pills, Lin Feng's soul power broke through to the 9th layer of life and death realm. On the other hand, Lin Feng's cultivation had risen from the initial stage of the 9th level of the creation realm to the peak of the 9th level of the creation realm. He was only one step away from breaking through to the 10th level of the creation realm. There were still 2 origin pills that Lin Feng had yet to refine. Right now, breaking through required a fortuitous encounter. Even after refining 2 origin pills, it would still be difficult for him to continue improving his cultivation. He stood up and looked at the immortal cave. This is where Senior Li Taixian secluded himself. I wonder if I can comprehend the Tao he left behind? Lin Feng took out the 9-colored illusory sword and held it in his hand. Soon, he entered a state of enlightenment. Faintly, he seemed to see an illusory figure appear in front of him. The figure held a long sword and stood not far away, practicing sword arts. When Lin Feng wanted to use his heart to comprehend, the illusory figure disappeared without a trace. He tried several times in a row, but all of them ended in failure. It seems like I'm still lacking a fortuitous encounter. Lin Feng shook his head. Lin Feng spent some time to cultivate the Great Transformation Art to the beginner level. He unleashed the Great Transformation Art and instantly turned into a handsome young master. In the next moment, he turned into a white-haired old man. In the end, he returned to his original appearance. What a powerful Great Transformation Art! Lin Feng revealed a delighted expression. With this Great Transformation Art, it would be much more convenient for him to do things in the future. He left the cave and didn't disturb the residents of the island. He flew all the way to the 15th Cultivator Assembly area. 10 days later, Lin Feng finally arrived at the 15th Cultivator Assembly area. During this time, many cultivators had gathered there. Lin Feng asked around and heard that the deep-sea devil cave seemed to have undergone some changes. Many cultivators who had entered the cave had actually disappeared. Moreover, a few young autarch geniuses had entered a few days ago to investigate, but they had also disappeared without a trace. Currently, many major powers were searching for cultivators who had entered the deep-sea devil cave to look for those who had gone missing. I heard that if anyone can find those who have gone missing, the major powers are willing to pay 10 million top-grade spirit stones. Hiss, 10 million? Isn't that too much? It's piling up like a mountain. That's because the missing autarch geniuses are the future of their sections. Those major powers naturally can't sit still. Why did those autarch geniuses enter the deep-sea devil cave? What exactly appeared in the deep-sea devil cave? Is it worth it for them to enter? I heard that an immortal's cave of universe appeared. An immortal's cave of universe? Could it be the immortal's cave of heaven and earth emperor? That's right. It's the immortal's cave of heaven and earth emperor. Later, he left the martial heaven continent, but the immortal's cave of universe remained. Every few tens of thousands of years, the immortal's cave of universe will appear. Chapter 1188. Lin Feng looked at the two female cultivators in front of him. Whether it was their figures or their faces, they could be considered to be of the highest quality. However, the fact that the two of them had come out to do such a thing was truly shocking. Young master, we sisters are forced to do this. We are both independent cultivators, so we have no backing or cultivation resources. We can only rely on ourselves. This is our first time coming out to find work, but we will definitely serve young master well. The long-legged female cultivator spoke coquettishly. First time coming out? Lin Feng stared at the two female cultivators suspiciously. The alluring female cultivator with flaming red lips said, "Of course it's our first time. Young master, you will know once you check it out." The two women's words made Lin Feng feel a little tempted. At that moment, the door to a small courtyard beside them opened and a female cultivator walked out. The female cultivator wore a long blue dress. Her figure was graceful and her temperament was ethereal. She was as beautiful as a flower fairy. Her beauty was in no way inferior to that of a top-grade beauty like Zhang Yudi. Compared to the two female cultivators in front of them, the female cultivator in the blue dress was far inferior. When the woman saw Lin Feng looking at her, she could not help but snort coldly. Shameless pervert. Lin Feng was speechless. How am I a pervert? Did I strip you naked or peek at you bathing? The female cultivator said coldly, "Don't think that I don't know what you are doing. If you aren't perverts, then what are you?" After saying that, the female cultivator looked at Lin Feng with disdain and walked away. Lin Feng's interest had been piqued by the woman in blue a moment before. He looked at the two female cultivators and said, "I'm really sorry, but I still have some matters to attend to. I definitely won't be able to do it today. Let's talk about it later." Then, Lin Feng closed the courtyard door. The two female cultivators glanced at each other before quickly walking away. At night, Lin Feng went out to inquire about the deep-sea devil cave and the yin and yang cave. All kinds of information had been gathered, but it was unknown how much of it was credible. Lin Feng decided to explore the deep-sea devil cave. Although he didn't have much hope that Sikong Jiayue was still alive, but as the saying goes, if he is alive, then he must see the person. If he is dead, then he must see the corpse. Lin Feng hoped that he would be able to confirm it. Of course, he hoped that Sikong Jiayue was still alive. As long as there was a glimmer of hope, then Lin Feng would continue to search. Even if he had to take a huge risk, he would continue to search because Sikong Jiayue was Lin Feng's friend. If he couldn't do anything for his friends, then he would be too heartless. This wasn't Lin Feng's character. Lin Feng had always valued his family and friends very much, so he was willing to do anything for them. The major forces had set up an office in the 15th Cultivator Assembly area, where they could accept missions to search for missing cultivators. After Lin Feng received his reward, he rested for a day. The next morning, they headed to the Deep-Sea Devil Cave. The Deep-Sea Devil Cave was a huge whirlpool that covered more than 10 miles. The central area of the whirlpool was the entrance to the Deep-Sea Devil Cave. The Deep-Sea Devil Cave formed a special space, and in the sea area covered by this space, there would be no water flowing in. Lin Feng saw some cultivators entering the Deep-Sea Devil Cave one after another. When there was a great reward, there would definitely be brave people. Not to mention, many forces had offered a sky-high reward of 10 million top-grade spirit stones, so naturally, many people were excited. It can actually form a huge devil cave that covers more than 10 miles. It seems like this deep-sea devil cave is hiding a lot of secrets. Lin Feng stood in the void and narrowed his eyes as he looked at the deep-sea devil cave. He saw some small islands in the surrounding sea area rushing in this direction, and then some islands were swallowed by the deep-sea devil cave and were instantly torn to pieces. The deep-sea devil cave had a terrifying destructive power, and it could only be entered from the entrance. If a cultivator fell into the deep-sea devil cave, they would die very miserably. Lin Feng arrived at the entrance of the deep-sea devil cave and flew in. The interior of the deep-sea devil cave was gloomy, and it emitted a gloomy qi. Lin Feng flew all the way down, and after flying for tens of thousands of meters, he landed on the ground. He had probably reached the bottom of the sea. In the distance, he could see some cultivators. Lin Feng chased after them and walked with a dozen cultivators. "Look, there are mountains and trees in front of us," said a cultivator pointing in front of them. Lin Feng said, "This place is actually an independent space, so it's not strange that there are mountains, flowers, and trees. Even if there are some ferocious beasts, it's not strange either." The others nodded, and the group continued walking. Everyone's goal was to find the missing people. Therefore, their destination was the same. They didn't run into any danger on the way, which made many people think that the deep-sea devil cave wasn't as dangerous as they had imagined. "Look, there are corpses." Suddenly, someone pointed in front of them. There were many severed limbs in the forest, and the blood hadn't dried yet. It seemed as if they had died not long ago. Lin Feng's expression changed when he saw the severed limbs. It seemed as if they had been eaten by some ferocious beast. Lin Feng said, "Hurry up and leave this place. I don't think it's safe here." Roar, roar, roar. But it was too late to leave. Ferocious beasts leaped out of the forest one after another. These ferocious beasts were around 8 meters long. They had the bodies of wolves, the tails of scorpions, the limbs of cheilants, and the heads of demonic beasts from hell. They were ferocious and ugly. Their eyes emitted a blood-red light, and their bodies were covered in scales. What kind of ferocious beasts are these? Lin Feng and the others felt their scalps go numb when they saw hundreds of such ferocious beasts. They had never seen such ferocious beasts before, and they all sensed danger. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The ferocious beasts charged at Lin Feng and the others. A great battle broke out in an instant. Slash. Lin Feng condensed a sword light and swept it at the ferocious beast charging at him. The sword light slashed at the ferocious beast, but it only sent it flying. It didn't break through the beast's defense at all. Lin Feng gasped when he saw this. He had used Sky Split earlier, but it still couldn't hurt these ferocious beasts. These ferocious beasts were too terrifying. More than a dozen ferocious beasts pounced at him. Lin Feng didn't dare to continue fighting with these ferocious beasts. He rushed away, but a 20-meter-long beast king leaped out of the forest and swiped at Lin Feng with its huge claws. A loud bang was heard. Lin Feng was sent flying by the beast king. While he was still in the air, the beast king's tail was already flying at him. The sharp barbs at the end of the scorpion tail were like spears that could pierce through all defenses. The tail stabbed at Lin Feng's chest, as if it wanted to pierce through Lin Feng's body. Chapter 1189. The sharp barbs at the end of the king of ferocious beast's tail contained deadly poison. Not to mention being pierced through, even a scratch would probably cause one to be poisoned. At that time, he would most likely die and his Tao would vanish. However, Lin Feng's reaction was extremely fast. Seeing that the attack was about to pierce through his body, Lin Feng moved to the left and dodged the attack. The next moment, with a flash of light, Lin Feng summoned the regal sword tomb. 3 swords flew out instantly. The black dragon sword slashed at the king of ferocious beast's scorpion tail. The spring and autumn sword and the undying sword quickly slashed at the king of ferocious beast's head. Poof! The black dragon sword unleashed its power and directly cut off the king of ferocious beast's tail. Roar! The king of ferocious beasts let out a painful roar and swung its giant claws. The spring and autumn sword and the undying sword were sent flying by the king of ferocious beasts. With its tail cut off, the king of ferocious beasts went completely berserk and pounced at Lin Feng. Lin Feng dared not hesitate and quickly flew into the distance. The king of ferocious beasts was hot on his tail. The king of ferocious beasts was very fast, but Lin Feng was even faster. After flying for more than 10 miles, he shook off the king of ferocious beasts and quickly flew in another direction. The most powerful king of ferocious beasts had been attracted by him. Lin Feng could only hope that the rest of the people would fend for themselves. For the next 3 days, Lin Feng didn't stop at all. He just kept going deeper and deeper. This time, he heard the sound of fighting and quickly flew over. He saw a female cultivator being attacked by more than 10 ferocious beasts. Those ferocious beasts were silver-white in color. They looked like mastiffs and lions. The surface of their bodies was surrounded by burning flames, and their attack power was extremely ferocious. More than 10 corpses lay beside the female cultivator. It was obvious that her companions had been killed. The reason why the female cultivator was able to withstand the attacks of more than 10 beasts was because she had a powerful defensive treasure. It was a compass-like treasure that emitted rays of light that enveloped her. However, as time passed, the female cultivator wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer. Sure enough, the deep-sea devil cave was filled with danger. There were powerful, vicious beasts everywhere. The slightest carelessness could lead to death. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and save me. When the female cultivator saw Lin Feng in the distance, she could not help but shout out. This female cultivator was none other than the blue-clothed female cultivator that Lin Feng saw outside the small courtyard a few days ago. At that time, this woman thought that he was going to visit those 2 female cultivators because she looked at him with disdain. Lin Feng said, "Do I know you that well? Why should I save you?" The blue-clothed female cultivator bit her lips and said, "You're not broad-minded enough. You obviously want to take revenge on me." Lin Feng grinned. "Don't think too highly of yourself. After we parted that day, I forgot about you. I don't care what a stranger thinks of me. I don't care about what a stranger thinks of me." "I don't care," said Lin Feng. "Then what do you want in exchange for saving me? How about this? I can give you a lot of spirit stones. What do you think?" The blue-clothed female cultivator said, "Do you think I'm lacking in spirit stones?" Lin Feng said indifferently. At this time, the barrier protecting the blue-clothed female cultivator was getting weaker and weaker. Moreover, it was showing signs of cracking. It was very likely that the barrier would shatter soon. It would not be long before the blue-clothed female cultivator was completely exposed to the sharp claws of a group of vicious beasts. The blue-clothed female cultivator's face was pale, and her voice was trembling with fear. She said, "Do you have the heart to not save me? Do you really have the heart to watch an outstanding beauty like me die here?" Lin Feng said, "Since you're begging me to save you, then you just have to agree to one of my conditions, and I'll save you." "Agree to what?" The blue-clothed female cultivator asked cautiously. "You'll be my personal maid," Lin Feng said evilly. The blue-clothed female cultivator was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. She screamed indignantly and said, "Do you know who I am? You actually dare to ask me to be your maid? I think you don't want to live anymore." Lin Feng said, "Since you don't want to, I won't force you. I'll be leaving first." When she saw Lin Feng turn around and leave, the blue-clothed female cultivator immediately panicked. She bit her lip and hesitated for a moment before calling out, "Don't go. I'll agree, but I can only be your maid for 3 months at most. If it's any longer, I'd rather die under the claws of these vicious beasts." 3 months it is. Hurry up and swear. You can't go back on your word. Lin Feng said, "Of course I won't go back on my word. Who do you think I am?" The blue-clothed female cultivator couldn't help but gnash her teeth. "I'd rather believe that there are ghosts in this world than believe a woman's mouth," Lin Feng said. The blue-clothed female cultivator spat at Lin Feng. She really had the urge to strangle Lin Feng to death. However, she had no other choice but to swear the oath. Lin Feng attacked and killed 5 ferocious beasts. The other ferocious beasts fled without a trace. The blue-clothed female cultivator was almost exhausted. She quickly took out a pill and swallowed it. "You dare to enter the deep-sea devil cave with your little cultivation? You're really courting death." Lin Feng curled his lips. "It's none of your business." The blue-clothed female cultivator said fiercely. Slap. Lin Feng slapped the blue-clothed female cultivator's chest. "You dare to speak to your master like that? You have no manners. You deserve to be beaten." Lin Feng snorted. However, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. This feeling was really good. The blue-clothed female cultivator's pretty face turned pink. Her jade-like buttocks were attacked. She was both embarrassed and angry. She directly pounced at Lin Feng. I'll fight you to the death. The blue-clothed female cultivator screamed. I didn't expect you to be so shrewish before. Lin Feng grabbed the woman in blue clothes and put his arm around her waist. How dare you be so rude to the master? You're offending the master. Do you think I won't punish you right now? The blue-clothed female cultivator was so scared that her pretty face turned pale. I won't dare to do it again. Spare me this time. Only then did Lin Feng let her go. However, the blue-clothed female cultivator still looked at Lin Feng with gritted teeth. Obviously, with her shrewish personality, she wouldn't give up so easily. However, she knew that she wasn't a match for Lin Feng, so she had to endure it for now. What's your name? Lin Feng asked. Sunny, what about you? Lin Feng. Lin Feng? Are you that new paragon genius, Lin Feng? That's right, that's me. I didn't think that the Lin Feng that everyone was talking about was actually a stinky hoodlum. Do you believe that I won't show you what a hoodlum looks like right now? Come, do you think I'm afraid of you? Do you believe that I won't bite off your bad thing? Lin Feng's forehead was covered in cold sweat. This Sun Yi wasn't just shrewish, she was also very bold. She didn't have any scruples with her words. 3 days later, Lin Feng and Sun Yi arrived at the depths of the deep-sea devil cave. After arriving, Lin Feng's expression became serious. He could sense that there was a terrifying aura hibernating in this place. It made his heart tremble. Could the universe cavern really be hidden here? Lin Feng frowned. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.